Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Someone say yes, and then we can get this party going. Yay. Okay. Right. So everything that I just said was irrelevant. Let me start again. What I said was I could go straight into the first subject matter, but I'm not going to. We're going to have a little bit of foreplay. In the comments, let me know how you're doing out of a 10. If you're doing underneath a 6, we have a conversation about it. Well, not like I'm not going to do a therapy session, but we're just, that's pretty low. I'm going to find out what's going on there. And if you're doing a 10, I also want to have a conversation about that because that's damn high and you're probably on drugs. But 5 out of 5. Nice. But yeah, what we're going to talk about today, because I've wasted about 2 minutes talking with no audio, so let's go straight into business. I want to talk about war movies and why they suck. And normally, and I kind of said this at the beginning, but I didn't have any audio, I haven't done a live stream for about 4 to 5 months, so I am a bit rusty. Bear with me. But normally these live streams last about 2-3 hours. And I always say at the beginning that they're not going to last for 2-3 hours. So let me do that again. Let me say that this is not going to last for 2-3 hours. It's going to be a nice, clean debate. I've even got notes on my screen. I've really prepared for this, guys, because war movies suck. Now, the reason why I'm doing this live stream is because on Saturday, I watched a film called Warfare, a film by a wonderful director whose name I can't remember. I should probably have that on my notes. But a wonderful director who I've not really enjoyed the work of, but his last 2 films have not been too bad. And Warfare wasn't too bad either. But during Warfare, I just found myself thinking, what is the point of this movie? In fact, what is the point of any war movie? So what I did after watching the film was I did a quick review of the film, and I expanded it into not just that film, but other films that have a war subject running through them or are war movies. And my overriding thought was that all war movies are exactly the same. They all have the same message, which is war is bad, and they all kind of approach it in the same way. You have your lead character or your ensemble of characters. They go through a really bad time in the war, and then we end the film with everyone going, "Oh, woe betide me, war is terrible." Completely fine to do that. There's nothing wrong with doing that because war is terrible. And there's no reason why a war film should have a happy ending. Well, when I say happy ending, I mean, it shouldn't have like a happy, positive message that goes, war is great. Like that's not cool. So there's nothing wrong with war movies actually all having the same message. It kind of makes sense, really, doesn't it? So anyway, I made a video about that, and many people were unhappy about it. Very unhappy. It seemed to touch a nerve. Really seemed to touch a nerve. So I thought, let me do a little live stream. And on this live stream, we can all have a little debate about whether you think war movies suck. And I can tell you about the mathematics of exactly what I was trying to talk about. Now, I'm not just here to preach to you guys. I want to have a back and forth. So I will read your comments. I will go through your comments. Right now I'm not reading your comments, but I will read your comments. Alice Garland, thank you very much. By the way, hello Vita Phone, hello Recitas. You guys have been here since day one. Hello to the new people who have not been here before. Hello Frank 79C. Hello Kelly W. Peyton Rogers. I think Peyton, you've been here before, so apologies if you've been here before. But anyway, point was, I want to go through the reasons as to support exactly what I was saying in the video, because a lot of people were quite offended when I said that all war movies have the exact same message. I happen to think, and I have been thinking about that for days, because I happen to think that's just a fact. Like, there's nothing, it's just a fact. It's actually a fact. Like, I have actually made a list of war movies that potentially don't have that message, and I will be going through those in a bit, because I do want to have a debate with myself, but also with you guys about this. But in order for me to have a proper debate, I had to do some research and make sure that I had some examples of war movies that actually don't have that message. So we will go through those as well. But I think let's start off with some examples of war movies that we all know. Now, in the comments, let me know. Don't let me know your favorite war movies, but let me know the names of war movies that you think are your atypical war movies. I'm going to say some now, but put some in the comments and I will go through them. I've got Saving Private Ryan, 1917, Dunkirk, All Quiet on the Western Front, Fury, and Hacksaw Ridge. Now, that is just like 1% of all the war movies ever made, like since 1920. You know, even before we had sound in film, they were making war movies. So there's been so many war movies, and all of them seem to revolve around World War One or World War Two. There's a lot of war movies about the Civil War. There's some war movies about Iraq, and there's a few about the most post 9/11 wars. In fact, there's quite a lot, but I find them to be a bit sparse. That's why Warfare was quite unique in its approach. In fact, let me change that around. There's been a lot of war movies about post 9/11, but not a lot about pre 9/11 in that region. We had Jarhead, which kind of approached it, but that was a bit of a non-starter of a film for me, but I know a lot of people like that. Anyway, let me quickly look at you guys and what you said. Black Hawk Down, Waltz with Bashir. We're going to talk about Waltz with Bashir, actually. It's on my list. The Covenant. The Covenant. Interesting. It's a good choice. What else we got here? Peeps? We have got Platoon. Okay. All right. Those are good choices. I like these choices. I mean, these are atypical choices. You could even say something like Lawrence of Arabia is a war movie. There's so many of them. There's literally so many of them. So let's just talk about these war movies and what they have in common, for example. Let me quickly go through my list and just say what they all have in common, right? So we got Saving Private Ryan, 1917, Dunkirk, All Quiet on the Western Front, Fury, and Hacksaw Ridge. So if we a quick glance, all of these war movies are World War II apart from 1917. If anyone thinks I'm wrong there, do fact check me. Like I said, I'm here to have a bit of a back and forth debate. I'm not here to kind of just preach at you guys. So let me know if I'm wrong there. Okay, what they all have in common. They all have, for the most part, they all have a certain protagonist. I would say Fury doesn't have a central protagonist. In fact, All Quiet on the Western Front also doesn't have a central protagonist. They all wallow in pity. They've all got like monologues where your character will go, "Oh my God, if only I can get home to my girl," and they look at the picture and they're like, "Oh, she's beautiful. I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to her. I hope I got a letter in my pocket. If I die, please give her please give her the letter." And they've all got this kind of melancholic feeling to them that they are leading to one place, which is these characters are going to die, or one character's going to die. There's going to be one person that does a really heroic act, like blowing up a bridge, or maybe Tom Hanks is going to press his little ignition trigger thing to blow up the bridge, but it's not going to work, and then he's going to die anyway. Sorry, spoilers, by the way. 1917, his best mate dies, doesn't he? Again, spoiler alert. Fury. Who dies in Fury? Does anyone die in Fury? Didn't like that film. Can't remember what happens. Hacksaw Ridge. I think a few people die, but he saves most of his platoon, if I'm correct. Let me know if I'm wrong about that. But yeah, that was Hacksaw Ridge is the most. It's the most aggressive type of war movie you can get. It is really laying it on thick, and it's laying on thick with the messages about God, Christianity, and war, and why it's bad, and so forth. It's a good film, though. It's a good film, but it's laying it on thick. In fact, it's the most war movie you could get. So what do they all have in common? Well, I just told you what they all have in common. And typically speaking, the message isn't that, hey, you know what? Maybe war's actually a good thing. Typically speaking, the message is war's pretty damn awful. And again, yes, war is pretty damn awful. So why not have that as your message? It's a pretty salient message to have in a war movie. So I I can name some of your guys' films here, like Pacific Rim. Is that a war movie? Yeah, okay. Let's go with that. Let's go with that. Flanks of Our Father. I haven't seen that one, ironically, after praising its sister film, Letters from Iwo Jima. So I haven't actually seen Flags of Our Father, but that is another film that I'm sure plays into that. Billy Ling's Long Walk Home. That is by the Hong Kong Chinese director, whose name I cannot remember, but I have not seen that. Kingdom of Heaven. Is that a war movie, guys? Do you think that's a war movie? Vitaphone, you're a troublemaker. We're going to talk about that film in a bit. Jumping ahead of things. Kubrick, the war movie with Path of Glory is the one you're thinking of there, Frank. And that is definitely laying it on thick with the message, with the big old message. Apocalypse Now, strangely enough, I don't think is a war movie. It's definitely set, it definitely has a war theme, but let's put it in there anyway, because I think it would be a bit of a shame not to put it in there. And the Secret Soldiers of Benghazi and Lone Survivors and 13 Hours. I believe one of those is Michael Bay. And I believe, let me put it back on screen. Lone Survivor is the director who did the All movie with Mark Wahlberg as well, whose name I forgot. He also did Friday Night Lights. So they're all kind of saying the same thing, aren't they? If those films I just said, apart from the ones that Vitaphone said, we're going to talk about that in a bit, and maybe definitely Apocalypse Now, those ones, they all have the same thing, don't they? The protagonist or the ensemble, and they're going to die, and there's going to be sadness, and there's going to be a letter of some sort that needs to go home to the girlfriend or to the wife. There's going to be some sort of monologue with a character monologuing about what he used to do back in America. It's typically America. What he used to do back in America, and he used to be a teacher or something, and blah 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 and blah blah blah. Again, this is not criticism. It's just a fact. And I think what people got wrong in that video was I wasn't criticizing war movies. Well, I was a little bit, but for the most part, I was actually praising a lot of the war movies that, like, Come and See is one of the best films of all time, not just one of the best war movies of all time. Thin Red Line, which I don't think anyone's mentioned yet, is incredible. It's an incredible. I think I prefer it to Saving Private Ryan. Thin Red Line is an amazing film. It's my favorite Terrence Malick film. The rest are all crap or just a bit wishy-washy. That really has a bit of substance to it. Not too much, but has a bit of substance to it. So yeah, they all have the same theme running through them, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, I think the argument that everyone was saying was, well, you can apply that to any movie, Marcus. Why is it just applicable to war movies? But that's not true at all. Now, again, you guys jump in here, because obviously we've just gone through the first section. We've spoken about war movies. I've said why I think they're all kind of similar. But now we're gonna the argument on the stick everyone was using to bash that argument with was that every other genre does exactly the same thing, which is just not true. In fact, I've not actually thought this through properly, and I should have done because I've got notes here. But war movies, to best of my knowledge, and maybe you guys can put something in the comment and argue with me here, but war movies are the only genre that do the same thing over and over again. Now, there's going to be some exceptions. Like I said, Vitaphone's come up with one. I've got a few. But for the most part, it's the only genre. And let me just go through a few genres here. And again, if you guys can argue against this, go for it. I will read your comments, and we will go through that. But let me just go off on a generational run for a bit. All right. So romance. So romance films completely blows out the water, because you can have a sad romance film, you can have a comedy romance film, you can have a generally happy romance film that's not actually anything to do with comedy. You can actually have a few variations of romance film, but putting that to one side, the ultimate end message to any romance film is not the same. You know, you can have some romance films that go, you know what, love is just bittersweet. Or some romance films that go, love is just incredible. It just keeps you really happy. Or you can have some romance films that go, love really sucks. Like, for example, 500 Days of Summer goes, you know what? Love is kind of sucky, but maybe there's a silver lining sometimes. Or you can have Blue Valentine, which is just misery from start to finish. Like, romance is okay, but marriage is shit and it's all going to end up in tears. Or you can have The Notebook, which is generally just positive all the way through. Or you can have La La Land, which is a musical, which is a different genre altogether, but it is a romance story, and it kind of has the bittersweet thing going on. Moving on, you have horror movies, and within horror movies, there's all sorts of messages that come across in horror movies. You have your different kinds of horror movies. You have your genres within genres. You have your Get Out, your Hereditary, your Scream, which is more of a satire, your Babadook. You have things like Scary Movie, which, I'll count it anyway. It's more of a spoof, but it's all good. And I would say in every single horror movie, like The Exorcist is completely different to Hereditary. There's a theme running through them, but definitely the message is completely different. So horror, again, let's take that off the table. Sci-fi, well, of course, sci-fi is almost an allegory for every sort of genre. So you have war movies, you have romance, you have everything within the sci-fi movie. So in itself, it's, messages are just all over the place when it comes to sci-fi. So that's completely, again, off the table. I can go on. You can have different types of drama. You have different types of thrillers, crime films. I can go on for ages and ages. There's not a genre, and I'm going to go through your comments now, but to my knowledge, there's not another genre that has, apart from war movies, that has the same message for the most part, 99.9% of the time, running through it. And again, if you guys think that is not true, let me know. I'm going to try to read through your comments. Pearl Harbor's a good one. Pearl Harbor's a good one. We're going to come on to that. Punch Drunk Love is a romance movie, the most surreal one. Love Punch Drunk Love. Love that. Top Gun is an amazing choice, by the way, because that's actually also on my list. Notting Hill, straight up atypical romance film. Officer and a Gentleman. Ooh, that's a good choice. That's a good choice. I've actually never seen that film. I know all about it, but I know not of it in the sense of I don't know what happens, but I'm sure I think it's to do with the army barracks, and it's got the silver-haired fox, and I know someone won an Oscar for that film as well. So I know a little bit about it, but I haven't actually seen it. Superhero movies are quite repetitive. Yes, agreed. So again, we have to have a clear distinction between repetitive, but also the message of a film. And if anyone here is a screenwriter, if you are a screenwriter, let me know in the comments. But if you're a screenwriter, one of the first things you're told is that your film should be an allegory for something, or you should have a message running through your film. So of course you have, I'm trying to think of a clear example, Star Wars, for example. So Star Wars is obviously a war movie. It's a sci-fi movie. It's a fantasy movie. It's a little bit of romance, but not really any romance in there per se. But it's actually not about any of those things, really. There's other themes going on. There's, he brings into effect the whole World War II thing, the whole Nazi issue. There's a lot of themes going through the film, and the message ultimately is very much a case of good triumphs over evil. So that's your message there. So typically, if you're a screenwriter, you have to have a theme going through it, unless you're making Fast and Furious, in which case you don't have to have a theme. You can just blow shit up. Or even Mission Impossible, you can just blow shit up and have Tom Cruise stand on airplanes and jump out of planes and stuff. It's, there's nothing wrong with having a fun movie with no message. But for the most part, your film should have a message. So yes, superhero movies typically have a repetitive theme, but if you actually break them down, a lot of them have messages going through them. You got your Winter Soldier, which is an easy choice for me to bring out. I'm sure James Gunn's Superman's going to have some sort of message running through it, because he typically layers his films with messages. In fact, any good screenwriter will layer their film with messages. So there's a clear distinction between repetition and message. And what I'm talking about is message, because repetition, sure, all romance movies are about romance. That's repetitive. But the message isn't the same. Cool. So this is the pushback. This is where If you don't believe in anything I'm saying, I'm going to argue for you before I jump into the comments and we go back and forth, right? So this is the pushback. This is a good pushback, by the way. The middle pushback, which is different genres are all the same, is just not a good pushback because I've just debunked that. So the pushback would be that some war movies actually don't have the same message, which is war is bad. And you guys have mentioned a few already, but let me just mention these. 300 doesn't really say war is bad. It's almost because Zack Snyder is thematically just all over the place in all these movies. He actually glorifies war, having men, naked men, prancing around, fighting each other. It's a great film. I love it. But it's just a bit, the message is a little bit convoluted. That's fine. It's based on a comic book, so maybe the comic book is convoluted. Who knows? I haven't read the comic book. Top Gun, for sure, is, I wouldn't say it's a romance war movie. I think there's definitely some romance going on there, but I think that's just because in the 80s, everything had romance in it. But Top Gun is definitely not saying war is bad. In fact, it's saying war is great. That's what it's saying. It's saying you should join the army. Pearl Harbor, definitely, again, another director, a bit like Zack Snyder, Michael Bay, who thematically has no idea what he's doing, just makes things look really good, like Zack Snyder. And therefore, he's made Pearl Harbor, which is a romance war movie, into a pro-war movie by blowing up Pearl Harbor and going, actually, war is cool. That, to me, is... And this is, guys, if you want to know if a film is good or a film's bad, look at the message. If a film has a good message or it's executed properly, typically you have a great film. If you have Pearl Harbor, for example, which looks great and technically is an amazing film, but the message is all over the place, you typically have a bad film. So Pearl Harbor definitely glorifies war in a weird way. It's so silly. Lone Survivor. It focuses on valor as opposed to why war is bad. It's not a great film. It's a bit, again, thematically just all over the place. Lord of War is a bit of a rogue choice by me because it's not really about war, although it technically is. But it definitely doesn't glorify war, but kind of also does in a weird way. Okay, and we also have some of the comments that you guys mentioned, which I've also noted down, which is Waltz with Bashir, which is a animated war movie about the Serbian War, I believe. Fact check me if I'm wrong. And I mean, for me, that does actually say war is bad, ultimately, the end of the film, but it does it in a very, very artistic kind of way. But the message is the same for me. Come and See, I think the message there again is war is bad. So I've put it on the list, but it's not a great example of a film that says war is not bad. Thin Red Line, which I mentioned before, I've put it on there because it's very philosophical. It's almost quite, I used the word before, wishy-washy. It's very existential. But it does ultimately say war is bad in a really roundabout way. Paths of Glory definitely does say war is bad. And then we have things like, Inglourious Bastards. And I would almost say the perfect example of what I'm trying to say is a film like Starship Troopers, which is in a satire way, although the satire doesn't always come across if you're watching the film from a very blinkered view, says war is bad. But Inglourious, for me, the best example of this subject is Inglourious Bastards, for sure. Because the way Tarantino approaches that film is, the thing with Tarantino is, I love him, he's a great writer, but he, again, thematically, sometimes he can get a bit convoluted. And I have to say that he doesn't really come across at the end as saying war is bad. He almost glorifies it the way he ends the film. But anyway, those are examples. If you were to argue against the main thesis, which is war movies suck and they all have the same message, those movies, some of those movies that I mentioned just then, would be the perfect argument to come back against that argument with. So, guys, we can duke it out now. We can have a little back and forth. I have not read many of your comments. Apologies, but I will go through. I'll be able to see them now because I'm going to go through them now. But just before, I'm not going to conclude just yet, but what I will say is that I'm firmly sticking with my point, which is the film Warfare does exactly what every other war movie does, bar the ones I've mentioned. It says war is bad, war is terrible, war is awful. I also want to counterpoint that by saying that there's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that if you've seen one war movie, you've probably seen them all in terms of the message. The way the message is approached is different for every single war movie. I do not dispute that. Like, for example, 1917 is a very, very different film to Fury or Hacksaw Ridge. So the way they've approached it, for sure, you can definitely approach the subject in a different way. And when I say subject, I mean the message in a different way. And I will not dispute that one little bit. But ultimately, the message of all these films is exactly the same. When it comes to other genres, that is not the case. You can have films that are similar, for sure. Like, you can have two bittersweet films where the message is the same, which is love is bittersweet. But typically speaking, you have different messages. You know, or there's like 4 or 5 different messages for romance films. For horror films, there's typically a number of messages because typically there's an allegory going on to do with life. Sci-fi just has every sort of message possible. So, yes, that is what I'm trying to say. Right. So, I got a lovely comment here. First one I read. I disagree with you in the fact that not all movies are necessarily about war. Most of them are set in war, but the characters or the events or whatever. Agreed. So we're not disagreeing at all. And I think this is why people got so riled up about that video. We're not disagreeing at all. We're actually agreeing. I completely agree with you. Yes. I mean, again, Starship Troopers is a very different film to 1917. Very different film, but they're both about war. So I don't disagree with that. I'm not saying that the way the story is told or the way it's approached or the genre within that war movie is the same. It's not. It never is the same. But like, for example, Spielberg's made a few war movies, but you know, they've all been different. Like Schindler's List is technically a war movie, but it's very different from Saving Private Ryan. He made War Horse as well, which is also a war movie. But again, the message is ultimately the same, and that's actually what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they're different. Predator is not a war movie. If anyone thinks it is, let me know in the comments. Happy to discuss Predator, but it's not really a war movie. Apocalypse Now definitely shows the madness. For sure. But if you actually look into Apocalypse Now and what it's actually based around, it's actually not based around war at all. It's actually an Odyssey film where a character goes on a journey and then ultimately discovers the journey was pointless. And it's not really a war movie. Although, due to the nature of Vietnam being very present at the time that Francis Ford Coppola made it, and he was very, very vocal about how futile that war was. Sure, it's got a lot of themes of war and why war is bad in it, but it's not really. It's more of an Odyssey film, but yeah, we can put it on there. Oh, here's a good one. Oh, Sophie's Choice. I mean, Sophie's Choice definitely says war is bad. I mean, that's the ultimate message of Sophie's Choice, but it definitely approaches it in a very unique kind of way. A bit of a boring film, but great performance from Mel Streep. Rear Gaming, not seen you in ages. Also saw that Gamer Vet's in here as well. So big up, guys. And you know what? Big up to everyone that's here. I've seen some new people here as well. Like I said before, I've not been on the stream for ages. So it's good to see so many new faces. If you've been enjoying my content, thank you so very much. We'll talk about that at the end, the content. But for now, let's stick on this. There's nothing wrong with conveying that message, although the way it's approached is broad, doesn't aim to strike subdivided opinions, almost like one-sided POV. It works to conflate. This is great, Rare Gaming. Love this. Yeah, again, I don't think there's anything wrong with the message at all. I think saying war is bad is great because war is bad. So if you were to make a film that said war is good, like Pearl Harbor, which I don't think, or maybe he did. I don't think Michael Bay realized he was making a pro-war film. Or maybe he did. But Yeah, if your point is war is good, then you're probably an idiot because there's no levels of human decency or intelligence where you can make an argument that war is good. Now, if you're completely against the grain and maybe you're very forward thinking, let's say forward thinking, maybe you think in a weird way war is good because it helps population growth or some weird shit like that, like we evolve by it, I don't know. But yeah, that's you to you. But me personally, I think war is absolutely bloody awful, and there's nothing wrong with having a message that says war is awful, for sure. Agreed. What else have we got here? Unbroken is isn't isn't that also a war movie? Yes, Unbroken is a war movie. It's got a British actor who was in Sinners and directed by Angelina Jolie, and it definitely is a war movie. In fact, it came out around about the same time as Hacksaw Ridge. Hello, Hassan. Nice to meet you. Hijack movie. I'm kind of just, as you can see, I'm just picking up your comments. I'm not really following the strand of what you're saying, so I do apologize if it's all kind of scattershot. Predator would qualify. I like this. Good to see you again as well, Vitaphone. Good to see you again. Predator would qualify the indomitable human spirit, sacrifice, brotherhood, etc., etc. Okay. I would say if the only way it would qualify is that this film obviously takes place in some sort of South American war, because when they first land into this South American village, I don't know what village it was, there's obviously some sort of civil war going on. That's the only way I could say that is a war movie. I wouldn't say these themes would make it a war movie for me, but it is set in a war, kind of. I think, from what I can remember, I think Predator's a bit overrated, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Deer Hunter is absolutely brilliant, amazing film, but it does have the same message: war is terrible. Although, if you've not seen Deer Hunter, do watch it, because it does say war is terrible, but it also has so many other things going on in that film. It's really, really good film. Very long, but very good. Catch-22 and Doctor Strangelove, peak war parodies. Totally agree with you on that front. Blood Diamonds might fit. It does fit. Blood Diamond is definitely a war movie. In fact, it's about a subject that isn't tackled very much in movies, which is all those civil African wars that happen. There's not many films about that. There's Hotel Rwanda, there is Blood Diamond, and there is the film with Idris Elba, which Beast of No Nation, I think it's called. There's not many, but it's a really good subject that should be highlighted a lot more. And they all do the same thing. War is terrible. That's what they say. Let me have another look here. Tears of the Sun, Bruce Willis movie. Hello there, Crossis 101. Bruce Willis movie, which directed by Antoine Fuqua, and I thought was awful. There are war movies that say war is terrible, but also important. The Darkest Hour, The Imitation Game, and Lincoln. Great comment, Brian. Great comment. Love this comment. Brian, can you expand on that when you say important? I think I need to hear what you mean by that before I can come back and say anything in regards to that. Game of It, war is never good. It's just inevitable. Ooh, love that. That's actually a quote, isn't it? That is a quote. I've seen that quote somewhere else. Let me know. I think I saw that quote whilst playing was playing COD. Aliens is obviously Vietnam in space, but so Aliens. Hello, Chris. Aliens is 100% a war movie. Alien isn't a war movie at all. Aliens is definitely a war movie, and most likely Vietnam in space, like you said. In fact, here we go. Cameron was working on another actual war movie. Yeah, so he's probably merged those two movies together. Pretty clever thing to do. But yeah, it's definitely a war movie, and if we're going to say it's a war movie, it doesn't really say war is bad. I guess it kind of inadvertently says it because, spoiler alert, most of her team dies, but that typically happens in all the Aliens movies, so it's not really saying anything new there. Kelly's Heroes. You've mentioned this before, Vitaphone. Is that the Sean Connery film? I've not seen it. Let me know in the comments. First Blood. First Blood definitely works. In fact, I think all the Rambo movies work, don't they? First Blood is actually a perfect example of a war movie that says war is bad. I mean, that guy's going through some serious PTSD, and he brings it to America and starts butchering, slaughtering American soldiers who are trying to put him down. Interesting. Batman's first film, Empire of the Sun. Hello, Rhodey Dave. Yes. In fact, really, it's another Spielberg film which says war is terrible, but approached in a very different manner. War bad, but not war bad, but as a necessary to freedom. Yeah, but ultimately the freedom is happening because the war started in the first place, or a certain sort of oppression, and you could call oppression almost the beginning of a war. So that isn't good in itself. So yeah, but it's kind of a catch-22 in that situation, I would say. I love Antoine's work, but Tears of the Sun is not good. So Crisis 101, I actually do not like Antoine Fuqua at all. Not as a person, I've never met him. Sure, he's a very nice man. His work for me is just so flat. It's so flat. I know people love him. They love Training Day. In fact, they love all his Denzel films probably. I just find his work so incredibly. If you ask me to say a facet of Fuqua's work, I couldn't tell you. Like what does he? If you said Spielberg does one-ers with the camera, I could go, great. He has sentimentality, great. Like ticks all the boxes. I get it. If you said what is a facet of Antoine Fuqua's work, I do not know. Which is not a bad. Well, it is a bad thing, but it's also not a bad thing. It means you can do different types of genres really well, which is, for the most part, because these films have really sold, what he's done. But I don't like him because he hasn't got an identity as a director. And even if your identity is your shit, at least you have an identity. Like, you know, if you're Michael Bay, who, by the way, is actually a really good director, just thematically awful. But if you're Michael Bay, at least I know I'm watching a Michael Bay film. If I'm watching an Antoine Fuqua film, I don't know that I'm watching an Antoine Fuqua film because it's got no style. I'm just kind of putting things on screen. I'm not reading through them. Let me read through them very, very, very quickly. You guys have gone way ahead of me. Here we go. Oppenheimer is definitely war is bad. Hello, Powder Naps. Yes, 100%. 100%. Oppenheimer is one of the most boring war movies of all time. That's not to say it's not a good film. It's just very boring. But it's a very good film. Which reminds me of, I'm currently watching Andor. I finally decided I'm going to start watching Andor. I criticized the first season, or the first 3 episodes of the first season, like when it first came out. And then everyone's been raving about it again. So I decided to start watching the whole thing from start to finish. And I'm nearly finished with season 1, season 2. And I will give you my thoughts very soon via a video. But man alive, it's a real struggle to get through it. It really is. We'll talk about that in a bit. Oppenheimer is an R&D movie. What does that mean? Robert Downey? What do you mean by that? What do you mean? So many absolute Randall's absolutely a war flick. It is. Oppenheimer definitely was a film. That is correct. Yeah. I haven't finished it yet, Kelly. But anyway, let me quickly, before we ramble on about other stuff, let me quickly finish off the point I was trying to make. Das Movie is a grounded version of Alien. Das Boot is actually a very good film. The ending is absolutely war is bad, by the way. Such a really sad ending. My God. The Imitation Game. What do you think about the movie? I think it's, I can't remember it. I remember it being good when I watched it. Benedict Cumberbatch, if I'm correct, directed by a Scandinavian director, Danish director, maybe. I think it was fine. What do you think of the new Marvel film? I will answer that in a bit. So, guys, any questions you've got about anything not to do with the subject, which I'm about to wrap up, I will go through and we can have a little chat at the end. But yeah, okay. So let's go back to the point. So what I would love for you guys to do now, I'm going to quickly have a look at the poll and just see what you guys are saying here. And you've said 89% of people have said no, that war movies do not suck. Now let me just conclude. And let me just go through all point number 1, point number 2, point number 3, and then conclude, right? So point number 1 is the thesis, which is war movies suck. That's not really the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is that war movies typically have the same message going through them. You have 1917, you have Saving Private Ryan, you have Starship Troopers. You guys have mentioned some amazing choices that I've completely forgot about. You have Schindler's List and so many. They all have the same message, which is war is bad. Do other genres do the same thing? Do they all have the same message? No, they don't. And now, guys, if you can do me a favor, can you think of any other genre that has the same message ultimately going through them? Name me a genre where the message in every single film within that genre has exactly the same thing, or is like 99% the same thing. Let me know, and I will quickly finish off my point and then read those. But to my knowledge, and you guys may prove me wrong, but romance, horror, drama, sci-fi, martial arts, action, whatever, they all have a different message running through them, and they're not all peppered with the same message, whereas war movies do. If I was wrong, I would push back with a few examples of war movies that don't, which is what I said before: 300, Inglourious Bastards, Top Gun, Pearl Harbor. There is a few. There's like there's scattering. There's like a nice 1% of war movies that don't have. Some of them do say war is good. Some of them say war is necessary. Some of them just have fun, and like 300, just grease on men's bodies and let them fight each other. So yes, if I was going to argue against the point, I would say that is a good argument to argue against it. But that is a very narrow argument, because there's not many war movies that do that. They all kind of say the same thing. So now it's your guys' chance. And I think the only way that, if you don't agree with me, I think the only way you're going to really prove me wrong at this point is by coming up with 100 war movies that don't do that, or telling me another genre that has the same message going through it. So let me know, guys. Let me see. Okay, so family movies, all of them kind of have the same thing. They do not, because I've seen so many family movies where the message is sometimes family is fucked. I know a lot of them say family is good and you have to bear with family and you should love your family and so forth. But there's been a lot of movies also that say family kind of bloody sucks. So I wouldn't say that's true. Planet documentaries definitely do not have, definitely do have the same theme running through them. How much do you want to zoom out? All movies eventually boil down to the protagonist, antagonist, conflict, and resolution. Rhodey, that is a wonderful comment. It's not true, but it's a wonderful comment. Definitely is not true in the slightest, because, I mean, the theme of an antagonist and protagonist is somewhat subjective, because some films the protagonist is actually the antagonist, and some films the antagonist is actually the protagonist, and sometimes the battle's internal, and sometimes there's no antagonist, and sometimes there's no protagonist. So that is not strictly true. But if you're talking about Hollywood movies, then for sure, yes, for sure. Completely disagree. Rom-coms are almost universally about love is messy and worth fighting for. Okay, let me write that down. So in my section there, I'm going to put rom-coms, and I'm going to actually star that. That'll make my life a bit easier. There we go. Action movies, good guy will always win ultimately. For the most part, I would say so. So I'm going to put that there. I'm going to star that as well. So guys, if you're coming up with genres that you think do have the same message, then let me know, and then I'll star it, and then we can go through them. Right, another one here. Godzilla -1 is technically a war movie, but focuses on the terrible effect of the monster worse than the war. Hassan, great comment, but you're wrong, because technically the Godzilla is actually an allegory for the war anyway and for nuclear power. So ultimately it's saying that war is bad and it's going to come and destroy the country. So that is not true. So, but ultimately, if you don't look beyond the surface, that is correct. But technically, Godzilla is about something different. What else we got here? What else? Classic Disney. That's actually a great comment. Classic Disney. I love that. Dance, music. I think that maybe a comment to something else. Anyone else got any Westerns? Here we go. Westerns have a similar message about death, the old ways, and the allegories of the change and time marching on. I'm going to star that and we'll come back onto that. What else we got here? Crime movies, heist movies, with the outliners glorifying or whatever, but basically saying crime sucks. Cool name, by the way, dysfunctional, but I'm going to argue that in a bit. Any movie about Vegas. I'm going to star that because I like that. I'll come back on that in a minute. Okay, horror movies, the black guy always dies first. That's not really a message. That's just a plot point. That typically does actually happen. So, yeah. Musicians, biopic. It's actually quite a good point there. I like that. Is Doctor Strange Love a war movie? It sure is. Okay, cool. All right, guys. Nice. So let me quickly just go through these and then we'll conclude this subject and move on to something else. Because ultimately, like, I can sit here and go back and forth about this, and I'm not going to change anyone's mind. I'm not here to change anyone's mind. I'm just trying to reinstate the point that I was trying to make before. But I do write screenplays, and what that kind of, I just see things and see films very differently, which is a bit of a curse and a gift at the same time. So when I'm watching a film, I can automatically just go, okay, that film is, the message is this. And you can tell within 45 minutes what the message is. Not the themes per se, maybe even the themes, but, you know, maybe not the ending, maybe not the dialogue, whatever, but you can tell what the message is going to be because you can see where the writing is going. Like Andor, for example, there's been a few episodes in season 2 where I'm like, they've lifted that directly from Battle of the Algiers, or, you know, those films in the 60s are kind of documentary feel to them. You can see where when you're a screenwriter, or you've just seen so many films, you can kind of see what the message is. And I'm not saying I'm better than you or that I know more than you. Maybe on that subject I do know more than you if you're not a screenwriter, but yeah, if I was to write a war movie right now, I would have to write it knowing that the end goal would be me having to say that war is bad. Same way that if I was to make a film about Gaza right now, I would have to make a film about Gaza that says what Israel is doing to Gaza is bloody awful. If I was making a film about Harvey Weinstein, I would have to make a film that says Harvey Weinstein is a bad person. Now, that's not to say that there's not people that don't have different thoughts. Some people probably think war is good. Some people probably think Harvey Weinstein is not a bad person. Some people probably think that what's happening in Gaza is great. But the overall opinion on those subject matters is typically what I said the first time around. And if you were brave enough to make a film that says war is good on purpose, your film probably won't get made, or probably people won't watch it, or probably going to get a lot of criticism if the film is made. So if I were to write a screenplay, I would have to write it knowing that the end theme of my film is that war is bad. And that would be on any screenplay about war that I ever wrote, because I'm not brave enough to write a screenplay about how war is good. I don't even know how to approach that. So, but if I was writing a rom-com, I could go, you know what? In the past, I've been in love and I've had my heart broken. So let me write about that. War is shit. So love is shit. Or I can go, oh, you know what? I'm really in love right now, and I just want to write a film about how much love really just makes me feel happy. So love is good. So I can go off on different pathways with rom-coms or with romance films. Action movies, in fact, let me go through your little list now. I'm going to do yours last, Vitaphone. Musician biopic. So if I was going to write a biopic, in fairness, it really depends on the person's story. So say, for example, I was writing a biopic about Freddie Mercury and I wanted to focus on his love life, then ultimately the message of the film would be about his love life. If I was going to do a biopic about Bob Dylan and I had no message because Bob Dylan had a really boring life, then ultimately my film might be a bit boring. Just saying. If I was going to do a biopic about Michael Jackson, then maybe maybe the theme is that everyone should love monkeys. Who knows? But I think ultimately it boils down to the person's individual life, and you hammer home whatever that point is that you're trying to make. So I would say that musician biopics don't all have the same message at all. I mean, they do say some say that fame is bad, some say that fame is good, some say that there's different messages there for me. Classic Disney, I would say Walt Disney. He definitely wanted to just say that princesses should find their princes and people should fall in love and everyone should be happy. So I would say definitely classic Disney has a concurrent theme running through it. I'm not sure if the message at the end of them probably was the same, so you might have a point there, I would say. Action movies, this is actually a good one. The good guy will always ultimately win. Yes, I would say that's true. But it's not really, I wouldn't say it's a message. It's more of a theme. It's more of a thing that has to happen in an action movie, just so it makes sense. So your protagonist beats your antagonist. There's some action movies where the antagonist beats the protagonist. There's some action movies where the antagonist is the protagonist and vice versa. I wouldn't say it's a message. I wouldn't say many action movies have a message, but if they do, it typically would be good will win over evil. So yeah, I would kind of agree with that one. And then Vitaphone, completely disagree. Rom-coms almost universally almost about love is messy and worth fighting for. That is true, I would say. I wouldn't disagree with that. I was trying to think of one where that's not the case. But I think that's more of a plot point than a message. I don't know if anyone disagrees with that. I feel like it has to happen. It's almost like it's your third act. Like, unless it gets messy, then you can't fix it, and then there's no story. So it's more of a plot point than a message, although it kind of works as both, if that makes sense. Because not all rom-coms have happy endings, so or they have bittersweet endings, or they are just funny all the way through. But I would say that as definitely a plot point and potentially a message. But yeah, any other genres, guys, let me know. We will go through this again, I'm sure, and we will have no conclusion because here's the thing. I think technically speaking, I'm coming at this from a screenwriting point of view. It's factually what I'm saying is completely right. Just from a screenwriting point of view, factually what I'm saying is completely right. If you're taking away the technicals of screenplay and just going off and just riffing and enjoying movies like jazz, then yeah, we can have a subjective debate about it. But objectively speaking, like, if you're going to write a war movie, you have to write a war movie with the message saying that war is bad. Whereas any other genre, I can kind of twist it around. I really can. I really could just do anything, sci-fi, horror. I could just do anything with a screenplay. But with a war movie, I have to say, well, I don't have to, but I probably should say war is bad. But anyway, we can go through this. So you guys have mentioned a few other things. You've mentioned Andor. I'm sure maybe you want to talk about the latest Mission Impossible movie. Has anyone seen it? I don't know if I'm going to watch it because the reviews are looking pretty bad. Someone asked me if I've seen the latest Marvel movie. I have seen the latest Marvel movie. It was okay. It's better than okay. It's pretty damn good. And I don't think it's going to save the MCU, but definitely it's a nice start. But yeah, guys, if you've got any questions, anything you want to talk about, we can riff off of that right now. The only war movie I like is Kelly's Heroes and Saints and Salt. Not seen any of those two films, but nice to meet you, Valentine. You probably should watch those films. War movies and romance movies are the same from a certain point of view. Rody Dave, tell me about that. Hit me up with that information. I'm confused how they're the same. Let me know how they're the same. Is it because the worth fighting for thing? Cobra Kai tosses antagonist, protagonist around all the time. A lot of films and TV shows do that. In fact, a lot of TV shows do that, and they do that because if your antagonist and protagonist is ultimately conflicted, then you can continue your series for 20 seasons, because your good guy will always do something bad that brings him back to point one, where he has to be a good guy again. And that's why Breaking Bad was so great, because it did it once and then just ended. Where a lot of TV shows, they go back. Andor's doing the same thing right now. It's just like really slowly making the point that our protagonist is actually an antagonist and that he has to fulfill his destiny, which we see in Rogue One. Anyway, I'll make a video about that. The Weinstein. Why did I put that on screen? I saw it and I put it on screen. That is so silly of me. My God. Wow. There's Secret and Mission Impossible that I really liked. Other than that, it's just like the predecessors. Yeah, I was looking forward to this one. And I saw it was 3 hours long. I was like, I'm going to tap out. State your theme in scene one. Ooh, Vitaphone is getting technically going through some real screenwriting technical terms there. I'm going to Capes. Nina Forever? What does that mean? And challenge, make a war movie with the message, drink more water. Dearie me. So, yeah, okay, here we go. I have zero interest in new Mission Impossible. A film shouldn't be 1 or 2 action set pieces and monologues. Totally agree. Bravery, sacrifice, goals, worth fighting. This is back to, okay, so this Rody Dave, you are talking about why rom-coms are similar to war movies. Okay, bravery, sacrifice, goals, worth fighting for, and often done for the sake of each other. Romeo and Juliet is the best war romance movie. I like what you're doing there, but Romeo and Juliet definitely is not a war movie. It's not a war movie. I did think, there's a feud going on, but it's not a war movie. Is it? I wouldn't call a feud a war. Like if I was, I guess technically if I was having a fight with my neighbor, I could be warring against my neighbor. So if you want to be technical, sure. But I mean, my thoughts really about that point come down to just one thing. That's what it comes down to. Between the Montagues and the Capulets, we still, no, it's not a war. Is that a war? Anyone in the comments, let me know. Do you think Romeo and Juliet is a war movie? I don't think Romeo and Juliet's a war movie. Just like I don't think Hank versus Walt in Breaking Bad is a war story. Like it's just an internal problem on a neighborhood. That's not a war movie. Otherwise, Boys in the Hood is a war movie. Someone had a really cool thing to say here. There we go. I hope Nobody 2 rocks. Okay, here's my thoughts on that Nobody 2 trailer. I think it absolutely sucks balls. It looks like shite. I'm not a massive fan of Nobody, the first original film. I'm not a fan of the first film. I think it's got a really good, really viral scene on the bus. I think it's okay. I think it's okay. As fight scenes go, it does the things that it needs to do. It's good. It's good. But I think the rest of the film is pretty unmemorable, and I don't remember anything that happens. He's trying to. He starts off with him being a salesman or something, and then he's trying to hide his past, and then suddenly his past becomes present, and then he has to present himself in his present. But apart from that, don't remember anything about that film, and the trailer looks like absolute trash. It's a love story. It is a love story. Romeo and Juliet is just a drama. It's a romance drama. I wouldn't say that it is a war movie. Oh, I love this. Invisi God. How would I make a war movie? Where should I put my bottle? Should I put it here? Put it there. How would I make a war movie? I wouldn't. Actually, that's a lie. I wouldn't. I would make a war movie. Here's the thing. I just want to also say, because again, I got a lot of criticism for that video. A lot of people saying you're an idiot. Someone said something like, do you do your videos and just think to yourself, oh, you're a effing idiot? So I got a lot of criticism for that video, but I just want to say that just because I think, or just because I know all war movies have the same message, it doesn't make them bad. And actually, I went on to praise Warfare and give it a 7 out of 10. In fact, I actually named a bunch of war movies that are just brilliant, like Come and See and Thin Red Line and Saving Private Ryan and Deer Hunter, greatest films of all time. These are not just the greatest war movies of all time, they're like greatest films of all time. So don't think that war movies are bad. So I would just make your atypical war movie and just put all the things that everyone else has put in them. You know, little girl trapped under a rubble, and the guy with the message from his wife that he's written a letter to his wife and he needs to give it to his wife somehow, and you know, the bombs going off and everyone being scared, and the character who's really just sat in the corner and he's just not fighting because he's so scared. I'd put all those things into my film because that's what makes a war movie. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But I am still sticking to my point. They all have the same message. Nobody is a great simple pitch, but an average movie. It is just so average. What is my favorite war movie? It is, I thought it would have been Saving Private Ryan or Thin Red Line or Apocalypse Now. But I'm going to say Come and See. If you've not seen Come and See, I don't think many of you have. If you've not seen Come and See, you shouldn't even be on the stream. You should be watching Come and See. So as soon as the stream finishes, go and watch Come and See. Come and See. Do not go. There's not like a adult version of the film, like a porn movie called Come and See. It's actually a war movie, and it came out in 1984. Watch the right one. Don't get lured in by something dodgy. I'm not even going to repeat what you just said, John S. Unfortunately, I don't want to get demonetized. What else we got here? Come and See is on YouTube, is it? There you go, guys. Don't put the link in the comments. But yeah, don't watch this version of it. That wouldn't take you to where you need to be. We're talking about films. Oh, 1985. Yes, 1985, not 1984. Is it 1985 or 1984? But either way, it's one of those 2 years. So watch that version of the film. So yeah, Nobody 2 trailer sucked. Superman trailer didn't suck, but I'm certainly not hyped to go and see it. I probably will go and see it, but I'm not hyped to go and see it. There was a new Darren Aronofsky trailer that came out yesterday, starring Austin Butler, which looks pretty fun. Looks like actually looks like the most fun Aronofsky's ever had making a film. So I'm actually kind of keen to see if that's going to be any good. Obviously, we have the Cannes Film Festival right now. I don't know if you guys are into the Cannes Film Festival, but typically you're not going to have films there that maybe you're going to watch if you just like your typical A-standard Hollywood movies. So, but there is a film there by Ari Aster. If you like Hereditary and Midsummer and Beau is Afraid, then you may like his new film, Eddington, I think it's called Eddington, which is getting a lot of bad press. And I actually think that Ari Aster is a bit similar to my boy Damien Chazelle, whereas he made his best film as his first film, and it's kind of just a downhill slog from there on in. And for me, Ari Aster's going backwards as opposed to going forwards. I don't know if you guys have seen Beau is Afraid. I've not. I'm not going to sit down for 3 hours whilst the director wanks on screen, but I'm sure some of you may like that film. Let me know if you've seen it in the comments. So yeah, Cannes Film Festival typically is where you're going to have your art house movies. They don't typically go on to win Oscars, but they typically go on to be really good films. So if you are trying to get into films as opposed to movies, then you might want to check out some of the films that are released at Cannes, especially the one that wins the Palme d'Or. Or you might want to, you might not want to do that at all. You might actually want to go and watch Nobody 2, which looks terrible. Oh hell no! Midsummer is much better than Hereditary. Ooh, I think we got a new debate here. So, do war movies? So, guys, I'm going to end this poll here, which says, "Do war movies suck?" And you guys have resoundingly said 89% of you have said, 6% of you have said that war movies do not suck. And by the way, I agree with that. War movies do not suck. So my title is a little misleading, but I do actually agree that they do not suck. Had to get you here somehow, didn't I? Right, a little poll. Midsummer by Ari Aster or Hereditary. I'm not going to spell Hereditary right. Can't bother to go on spell check. What do you guys think? Has anyone seen these two films? And jump in the poll and tell me what you think. Do you like those? I've already said it, but I wanted your take. Pitch Romeo and Juliet set in present day Gaza. I am not doing that. Thank you very much. No. I am not do. My God. Wow. It's actually a pretty cool idea, actually, I must admit. But no, wow. I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. There's some themes that maybe never should be explored. And I'm not saying that, and it happens all the time, by the way, where Israeli will fall in love with a Palestinian and they will get together and be married and so forth. So it's not like it's a outrageous thing to happen. It does happen, has happened, will happen, so forth. It's great. But I think right now to make a film about that would be just it would be really insensitive, I feel, because you're almost like completely ignoring the fact that people are dying and getting blown to pieces to make this romance story. So I personally wouldn't make it. Do you believe that an older filmmaker gets worse? His movies become. So, okay. Do I think that older filmmakers get worse as time goes on? I think Tarantino definitely believes that, which is why he's going to retire after he makes his next film. So, hope he makes his next film pretty soon. Please put this on screen, guys. Please hit the like button. There's been 200 people here. If you could hit the like button, that would be absolutely fantastic. Really would appreciate that. And if you've not subscribed, please do. I don't think it really matters nowadays because subscriptions don't seem to matter, but I wouldn't mind having a lot of subscribers. So please do hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be leaving in about 10 minutes anyway. So do your due diligence and be nice, please. To answer your question before, Rig Gaming, do I think filmmakers as they get older get worse? No, I do not. I think it's a bit of a myth. Like Martin Scorsese made Wolf of Wall Street 10 years ago, and I think he was 75, 76, 78 when he made that. So do not agree with that point at all. I do think some filmmakers run out of things to say. It really depends how good you are. It depends how you age. Depends if you run out of that energy to talk about something that really matters to you. And it just depends how your life is. If you're super rich and you like money and you've had a good life and you've made films for 20 years, then maybe when you get to 60, you might feel it's a little bit less urgent. Messages are a bit less urgent. So you may not be able to translate that onto screen. If you're living in a mansion because someone's bought your company called Lucasfilm for $5 billion, you might just run out of that passion to go and make a new film. You might just want to live in your ranch for the rest of your life. So it just depends, really. Someone like Michael Haneke. I'm going to butcher his name and say Michael Haneke. If you've not seen Michael Haneke's work, I'm completely spelling that wrong. It's Haneke, Haneke. If you've not seen his work, watch his work. He removes all the artifice from filmmaking, so music and slow motion and just the crap, and just makes great films. Watch his stuff. But he only started making films when he was in his 50s or late 40s, and he's still going. I don't think he's made a film in a while, but his peak was like in his 60s and even his 70s. So no, I don't believe that at all. Yeah, and Clint Eastwood is a great example of a filmmaker who, I mean, his last film wasn't too bad. It's better than a lot of the shit that's coming out nowadays. So yeah, I don't think that is a thing at all. I think it's a bit of a myth. In fact, I think Damien Chazelle is a busted flush, and he's what, 30, 35, 36? And he's already made his best film. So no, I don't agree with that. I don't think Mulholland Drive was Lynch's best. This must be continuing from another conversation that I've missed out on, but I'm going to read this anyway. I don't think Mulholland Drive was Lynch's best, but many did, and it was almost his last film. It is continuing, okay, from our conversation. Just depends on how much of an artist someone is versus how much technician someone is. Yeah, for sure. I actually think that sometimes, in some cases, the older you get, the better filmmaker you become. So, maybe when you're in your 40s and 50s, I'd say 50s, you start making your best work. Like, for example, Denis Villeneuve is now approaching his late 50s, and he's only in the past 10 years become extremely successful. Christopher Nolan now is approaching his late 50s or mid 50s, and his work is now, he won an Oscar finally. So I would say 50s is probably where you're going to be hitting your peak, unless you're an absolute freak like Paul Thomas Anderson, who I think probably has made his best film already with There Will Be Blood, and he did that probably at 35 or something, or 36. If you guys can fact check me on some of this, it'd be good. Sergio Leone, he made Once Upon a Time in America, and he must have been like 80 something back in 1983, 2, whenever that film came out. Mystic River, I think you guys are saying is that Clint Eastwood's best film? Maybe. It's a great film. Great film. This is a bit out there, but drama about Jonestown Massacre. Isn't that from the TV show The Studio? I think it is. 37 with There Will Be Blood. I was close. Thank you very much for fact checking me there. Appreciate it. This is why I love you guys. I know I don't do many live streams. This is my first in the 5 months, or I think my last was probably around about Christmas time. I'm going to try and do some more, because as much as I love making the videos, like sometimes they're very time consuming. I know you guys, some of you guys probably still watch like the fight series, and I've made a new action series, and I will continue to make them. I know people are like, oh, you're still doing that? If you watch any YouTuber who does videos, they do the same thing over and over again. So yes, I will still do that. But yeah, those videos take ages. The last one took 7 hours to do. 7 hours to make a video. 7 hours. It doesn't seem like a lot, but I juggle a lot of things. So right now I'm in post-production on a film that I just finished filming in Morocco. My film that I made before that is at the Rain Dance Film Festival. If anyone's here from London, I'm going to be at the Rain Dance Film Festival, which is massive. So far, as a filmmaker, my biggest honor. It's pretty damn huge. A lot of films have started off at the Rain Dance, like Pulp Fiction and stuff. So this is pretty big deal. So I'm going to be there next month. The film's going to be shown on the 22nd in London. So get your tickets, come and watch it. And it's up for best UK feature. And one of our actresses, it's an ensemble cast, but one of our actresses is up for best UK performance. So hopefully one of them wins. And that'd be pretty damn awesome. So yeah, I do quite a few things. I also have a company that I run as well. So doing a 7-hour YouTube video is pretty time consuming. So jumping on these streams and talking to you guys is beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And just get to know everyone and know where you're from. And if you guys got questions and stuff, it's good to answer them. And yeah, so if you've got any questions about the channel, life, films, just go for it. Go for it. And thank you very much if you watched the videos as well. Do appreciate that. Okay. So has anyone seen the studio? I've got some thoughts about the studio. I'm not gonna reveal my thoughts about Andor because I will do a video about Andor. I don't want to spoil that. But has anyone seen the studio by Seth Rogen? Because I would love to talk about that. If you haven't seen 9 Forever, you're missing something special. What's 9 Forever? I'll add one to make a perfect trilogy. The Will Be Blood, No Country for Old Men, and Hell and High Water. Rhodey, we finally agree on something. Those, I'm going to disagree, but also agree. I think There Will Be Blood is so different from No Country for Old Men. It's so damn different. So I wouldn't, and the other one as well. So I wouldn't say there's actually a perfect trilogy, but I would say that No Country for Old Men and Hell and High Water are almost like spiritual sequels in that sense. So yeah, I would say those two are a nice companion piece. I wouldn't put There Will Be Blood on that list. I don't see thematically they're so different. They're not even set during the same time periods. Like they're so different. So different. The only thing that's similar to them is that maybe there's a bit of sand. That's the only thing that's similar to them. But I would say the last two definitely are a great companion piece. And I would say No Country for Old Men is better than Hell or High Water, but Hell or High Water is a great film as well. Here we go. How often do you stream? This is so calming. I'm not sure if I was going for a calming effect. I wanted to get you guys angry and riled up. But anyway, hit the like button. Hit the like button. I don't stream very often, but I will try and stream at least once or twice a week. I will try and do it. It's very difficult right now whilst I'm in post-production, but I actually needed this. I actually needed to be calmed down myself because when you're in post-production on your film, it is sometimes calming or some days can be very challenging. So I'm very glad to have this opportunity to talk with you guys and just kind of de-stress for a while. Yep, saw the studio. Sometimes hilarious. I liked it. I think is it finished now, or is it another episode? Because I saw To Be Continued was put on the screen at the last episode. Is it done? I think the studio is wildly inconsistent. I think they need to work on some things for season 2. It started off with an incredible episode. Episode 2 was also brilliant. Episode 3 was good from what I can remember, but it's kind of just went kind of down for a bit and then went up. And then the last episode was a bit chaotic. They need to work on some things. They need to work out what exactly they're doing. There was an episode with Zac Efron, which was meant to be sort of film noir type theme. And it just was so incredibly bad. It just was like, this is terrible. This is not good. They just need to work out. And I also don't get the I don't get why the studio head, which is Seth Rogen, if you've not seen it, how like actors are talking to a studio head the way they are. Like that wouldn't. I'm sure that wouldn't happen. That just wouldn't happen. He's a studio head. Like you can make or break them. That wouldn't happen. Maybe it does. I mean, Seth Rogen knows more than me. He's in the industry, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. How about Enemy Mine as war-based message? Hello, Brian. Nice to meet you. I've not actually seen this film. I need to check it out, but I'm sure it is a war movie. Check out The Offer. I've seen The Offer. I really like The Offer. I really do like The Offer. It's a nice insight into how The Godfather was made. So nice little bit of work. Is The Godfather still the greatest film? So this, unless anyone's got any amazing questions, this is going to probably be the last question and probably the last thing I do. Not ever, just during the stream. The Godfather, I'm going to go. I think the best films that I'm trying to be objective here. The best film ever made is either Godfather 1 or The Godfather 2. I think Schindler's List is high on that list. But I do think on top of that, I'm completely ignoring a lot of incredible foreign films or world cinema films. So I always feel a bit bad when I say that. But I can say the best American film ever made is The Godfather or The Godfather Part 2 or Schindler's List. I can't separate either one of those three films. Some people would say that Schindler's List is over sentimental nonsense, and some people would say that it is one of the greatest films of all time. I will say that myself. How dare you say all those things? The Wicker Man 2006. Hello, Moona. Good to see you again. If anyone hasn't seen my latest video, it is comparing the two Wicker Man films. One was made in 1972. One was made in 2006. One of those films stars Nicolas Cage. One of those films is terrible. One of them is good. And I chose to highlight what is a fact. I do apologize if anyone got offended, but it's just a fact. If I'm to touch anime, Grave of Fireflies, Gundam, and Robotech Microcross, or Robotech / Microcross, or is that what it's called? I'm not a huge anime fan. However, I'm not a huge anime fan. However, I will say that I do like anime when I do watch it. Like Ninja Scroll is pretty damn cool. Akira is pretty damn cool. You have your Studio Ghibli films, so they are damn cool. I'm just not a fan. I wish I was, but I'm not a fan. So I'm not the best person to talk to. Debate yes or one, guys. So I'm gonna officially leave in about not even about. I'm gonna officially leave probably in 5 minutes. Probably doesn't make it sound like it's very definite, but I'm gonna probably leave in 5 minutes. But in the meantime, could you hit the like button? If you've not subscribed, please do. I know you probably don't want to hear me saying that over and over again, but I feel like I have to. One Punch Man is good, but that's a series, isn't it? It's not a film. Midsummer was heavily influenced by it, though. Yes, it was. And a lot of you guys think that Midsummer is better than Hereditary. I think Hereditary, I'm not a massive horror movie fan. I think horror movies just bore me to tears. But I think Hereditary is the best horror movie since The Exorcist. That's like 40 years ago. How do you guys think that Midsummer is better than Hereditary? That is wild. I was fully expecting Hereditary to just for the win. But you guys think that it's not. Okay. Interesting. Wow. Wow. Ooh, Midsummer and Hereditary are both massively overrated. Now, again, I don't like horror movies, so I would love to agree with you, but I do not agree with you. I think Midsummer is a perfectly fine horror movie. I'm not singing from the hills that it's a great film, but Hereditary is genius. It's genius. The main actress is horrid. Hereditary sucks. The main actress is horrid. I love that word, horrid. Beautiful word. Totally disagree. I think Florence Pugh is the only reason why the latest Marvel movie is any good. And I think pretty much any film she stars in, she's the best thing in it. But everyone has their opinion, I guess. Horrid. Old is a decent horror movie. M. Night Shyamalan. It is a horror movie for sure. I wouldn't say it's decent, but I think as far as M. Night Shyamalan films go, it's okay. The ending is pretty damn weak, which is a real shame because I kind of liked the part before the ending. It's kind of the problem with M. Night Shyamalan is that his movies always lead to something. Do you know what I mean? Like, not all movies need to lead to something. Some movies can just happen. His movies are always building towards something. So if the thing that happens at the end is truly disappointing, like in Old, then your whole movie is absolutely effed. And he does that to himself. Like, he doesn't need to do that. He doesn't need to have his movies building towards something. Well, I guess he does. I mean, most films do. But he really leans into it. So you're thinking, oh my God, where's this going to go? I'm so excited. And then when the ending is, oh, there's some guys on a computer watching everyone in every film, that's like creativity at its most bankrupt level. And it's pretty much the ending of all these films nowadays. Like, literally all these films nowadays is someone on a computer watching everyone. There's someone on a computer watching everyone. Like, just stop with that because it's really boring. Tusk by Kevin Smith. Do you know what, guys? I don't know if you guys have watched the work of Kevin Smith, but a clip of Chasing Amy, well, 2 clips of Chasing Amy popped up on my YouTube earlier this week. And I watched them and I was like, this is pretty damn good. Because when I was a kid, like, he was like, him and Tarantino were like the ones. They were like the biggest directors in Hollywood. Well, not the biggest, but the most exciting directors in Hollywood. And Kevin Smith is now, he's not a nobody, but his films definitely are not revered. And people are going back to his work and going, his work is trash. But Chasing Amy is actually, I need to watch the whole thing really, but the clips were really good. And I liked Mallrats when I was a kid. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen Kevin Smith's work, but check it out because you might like it, maybe. I don't know. Trap was surprisingly enjoyable. I've not seen Trap. I probably should see Trap, but when I start hearing that his daughters are in the film and then his daughters are making films, and I don't know. I really want to like him because Unbreakable is wonderful and Sixth Sense is just sensational, but anyway, I'm a bug chaser. You know what I mean. I went on a cruise with Kevin Smith. Love most of his work. The Asker universe is top. The rest is not top. How did you go on a cruise? I kind of just tuned out of everything else you wrote because you can't start off your sentence with, I went on a cruise with Kevin Smith, and then go on about something else because I need to know about this cruise with Kevin Smith. That's the most important thing in that sentence. So you need to elaborate on that because I am absolutely on the edge of my seat here because I would like to go on a cruise with Kevin Smith as well. It's not fair. Guys, have you hit the like button yet? Dogma isn't my absolute favorite. Forget about Dogma being your favorite. I want to know about how you got on a cruise with Kevin Smith. Let's do that. Let's talk about that. What's your thoughts about Korean movies, especially Masquerade and Age of Shadows? So I will not lie to you. My knowledge of Korean movies in the past 4 or 5 years since Parasite is very poor. In fact, it's not that poor, but it's not as good as it used to be. There was a period between 2013 to up until Parasite came out that I was a huge Korean film fan. I would, in fact, just watch Korean movies exclusively. But Parasite's kind of changed the game because now every streamer, every film studio just greenlighting like Korean movies all day long, and there's so much trash. But there's been a few good ones. I didn't like, speaking of, it's not a Korean movie, but is a Korean director, Bong Joon-ho's recent film with Robert Pattinson, which is called, I can't remember, but I hated that film so much and I fell asleep and it was not good. But there's been a few good ones. There's been a few good ones over the past few years. I've not seen these ones you've mentioned here. Yeah. Kevin Smith got lucky. Dogma is okay, though. Wow. Got lucky. I disagree. I'm going to defend Kevin Smith here. I don't think he got lucky at all. I think all those directors in the early 90s, they didn't get lucky. Like, I don't think going off and financing your own film is getting lucky. Like Robert Rodriguez didn't get lucky. Tarantino didn't get lucky. Kevin Smith didn't get lucky. The luck was the fact that they all came up in that period where shooting on videotape and, they all kind of digital VHS filmmakers, like even Paul Thomas Anderson. In that sense, they got lucky, but you still need to do the hard work because plenty of people went out and made films, but they didn't make it. I wouldn't call it luck. Like Kevin Smith he definitely had his time. But yeah, I wouldn't say he was lucky. But anyway, Dogma. I need to watch Dogma again. It's hard to watch because it's not available anywhere. He sucked him off on the cruise. Wow, TP. That's not a very nice thing to say, is it? Wow. That is going to start a civil war. That is not necessary, is it? I hope you've hit the like button after saying that. We can sure do better than 34 likes. 34 likes? That's absolutely appalling. Absolutely appalling. Come on, guys. How I hung out with a ton of famous people you don't want to know. Anyway, theme cruise Askew movies, script readings, podcasts. Oh, that's absolutely amazing. I would love to do that. That sounds fantastic. Damn. Top secret non-disclosure. Is that best war movies or? Dear. Kev is my top list for life for the best hugs. Yeah, he looks like he could give a good hug. He does. Yeah. He gives good hugs. TP, there's nothing wrong with sucking off Kevin Smith at all. But it needs to be consensual. So unless he got consent, then I don't think he did. So there is something wrong with that. We'd offend a Disney cruise parked up next. Oh dear. So anyway, guys, I will hopefully be back on at some point this week because it's actually like a national holiday next week in the UK. So I might be back on Monday. Might even jump on at the weekend. Who knows? Vitaphone is absolutely right. 35 likes on a stream of, over nearly 300 people is absolutely appalling. That's a click. That's like so bad. It's like 10%. Come on, hit the like button. If you're watching this on a pre-record and you've not hit the like button, please hit the like button. You guys are absolutely amazing. Kevin went from making fun of dick and fart jokes. That's been a crazy word, to accepting the monkey that has been his thing. Yeah, I totally. You know what, Vitaphone, you always speak a lot of sense. Even when I don't agree with you, you speak a lot of sense. And that is an absolute fact that he, a bit like M. Night Shyamalan, kind of played into everything that everyone said that he was. And that's what he's done for the past 15, 20 years. But yeah, Neil, it is bank holiday. And if you're around next month, I think you must be in the UK. If you're around next month, come and see my film at the Rain Dance Film Festival or not. But do come. Weinstein owned the rights to Dogma. Kevin had just recently got them back and going to I'll watch it again when he re-releases it. And I'm going to answer this last little thing and then we're all good for today, which is Yorgos Lanthimos is the best director working today. No, he's not. But he's definitely top 15. Incredible director. He's got his own style. Like we were talking about Antoine Fuqua before and why I don't like him. I don't like him because I don't know him. I don't know his style. I don't know his themes. I don't know his message. I don't know what he believes in. I don't know what he doesn't believe in. I just see his films. They come, they go. They don't really move me. Like, for example, Training Day. What is Training Day actually about? What's the message in Training Day? Because yes, it's a fun film. Yes, it's a fun performance from Denzel Washington. It's not his best performance, but it's definitely one of his most fun performances. But what is that film actually about? I loved it when I first saw it. I was like, this is fun. I watched it again. I was like, this is fun. And then I started watching it one more time. I was like, well, okay, this is fun. But what's it actually about? Like, what's it actually saying? Is it saying that cops who do drugs and sell drugs are bad? Because if that's the message, no shit, Sherlock. So what is the message? Because if we're seeing the film through the eyes of Ethan Hawke's character, which we technically are, we're not seeing it through Denzel's character. What did Ethan Hawke learn throughout that film? He learned cops are corrupt. I shouldn't be corrupt. And I should be a good person. But at the beginning of the film, we knew that because he was earnest at the beginning of the film. So he didn't actually go through any journey. Denzel doesn't go through a journey. So what is so good about Training Day? And it's not just Training Day that I have a problem with. Like his most recent films, the Equalizer films, are just absolute trash. Now, the action movies, so it's okay if they don't have a message. Typically, the message is Denzel saves someone because they're going down the wrong path. It's okay. I can deal with that. But I guess my point I'm trying to make is that Antoine Fuqua, as a director, I don't know what his side is. I don't know what his style is. I don't know what his themes are. I don't know what he thinks. I just don't get any of that when I watch Antoine Fuqua film. With going back to Yorgos Lanthimos, I totally get his themes. I totally get his style. I totally get what he's trying to do. He's an incredible goddamn director. He's definitely like top 15 right now in the world, for sure. But he's not the best director in the world because there's so many other directors. Like you have your Bong Joon-ho's, you have your Park Chan-wook, you have your Denis Villeneuve's, you do have your Christopher Nolan's, you still have Steven Spielberg who's still alive, you have your Tarantino who's still alive, you have your Michael Haneke who's still alive. There's so many directors in the world. I haven't mentioned any female directors. I haven't mentioned Spike Lee. I haven't mentioned, Paul Thomas Anderson. There's so many. So I think Yorgos Lanthimos is definitely an individual, unique, incredible voice. And to my knowledge, from every film that I've seen of his, he hits the film out of the park every single time. I haven't seen a film of his that I've not thought that is brilliant. Like each one of them, even his first, or maybe not his first. Actually, I've not seen his first couple of films. I've only seen his films from Dogtooth, and I think from there he kind of found his style and went from there. I love The Lobster, definitely my favorite Yorgos film. His last film I thought had too much. In fact, that's not his last film. His film before last had too much sex, I think, with Emma Stone. Way too much sex that didn't need to be in the film. But anyway, yeah, I don't think he is the best director in the world right now. Maybe Antoine is a journeyman director, good technician. You know what, Vitaphone? That's exactly what Antoine Fuqua is. He's a great journeyman director. He's one of the best journeyman directors, and there's nothing wrong with having journeyman directors. There's plenty of journeyman directors, but I personally don't resonate with journeyman directors. I don't know what it is they do. Like, I would honestly rather watch a Michael Bay film than an Antoine Fuqua film. I'd rather watch a Zack Snyder film than an Antoine Fuqua film. I don't know if what I'm saying is true. I need to just maybe preface that by saying, don't stamp that into stone. But I do think I'd rather watch I'd rather watch Zack Snyder doing 500 slow-mos in his film than Antoine Fuqua any day. Because at least I know that Zack Snyder had intention when he did it. Even if the intention was wrong, even if he did it at the wrong moment, at least I knew that this is his style and that's what he's trying to do. With Michael Bay, like Mr. I don't know what a storyline is. At least I know, the camera's gonna do some sort of twist around the actor and it's gonna be a slow-mo and someone's gonna get shot. At least I know where I am. I feel safe with a Michael Bay film. I know I'm gonna watch crap. But with Antoine Fuqua, I just don't feel anything. I don't feel any emotionality to his work at all. So yeah, I don't like his work. But this was never about Antoine Fuqua. I've gone off on a rant about Antoine Fuqua. We're talking about Yorgos Lanthimos, the great Yorgos Lanthimos. What about Soderbergh? Ooh, Vita fan, I bloody hate you so much. Oh God. Yes, you're correct. You're kind of correct. He does have a style. He does. So here's the thing about Steven Soderbergh. He does have a style. I think it's a bit of a myth that he doesn't have a style. He does have a style. There's certain things that he does in all his films that he does, that are signature things that he does, because he's just the way that his brain thinks. He doesn't do establishing shots. He typically cuts a lot of scenes very short to move on to the next scene. It's little signature moves that I know I'm watching a Soderbergh film, but you are right. Like he doesn't, like stylistically, he doesn't stand out. And that's how he can cross so many genres. So I would say that Soderbergh is definitely one of the best directors ever. I mean that, one of the best directors ever. So yeah. Fuqua's best is Southpaw. Oh my God. Let me just have a look. Oh my God. I can't believe I just read that. Oh, that's hurt my heart. Russ,
did you guys lose this game or did the Jazz win this one?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
That's how I feel. I'm like, what? Southpaw. Oh. And you know what? Let's go on. I hate doing this. I really hate doing this because I fundamentally I don't think there's anything wrong with Antoine Fuqua. So I hate going off on Antoine Fuqua, but Southpaw is the exact reason why Antoine Fuqua is a journeyman director. I'm not saying he's a bad director, but Southpaw needed a director that had a way of thinking, a style, a emotionality, a point of view. That Southpaw needed a director with a point of view. Now, Antoine Fuqua, again, I don't know him personally. I'm sure he does have points of views in his life. Like he seemed like a really nice person, but he doesn't have a filmic point of view, which is why Southpaw is an absolutely cheese and bread and water, porridge, crackers film. It's a cheese and crackers film. That's what Southpaw is. Southpaw has such an emotional theme going through it. I think, if I'm correct, his wife dies or something. I can't remember. His kid dies. I cannot remember for the life of me. Or they get. I can't remember. That's the problem. I can't remember. But such a deep story going through it, and the way it's framed, and the way it's filmed, and the way it's executed, it has no emotionality to it whatsoever. Jake Gyllenhaal crying on screen and shouting doesn't mean that there's emotionality to it. The theme, the way it's approached, the way it's filmed, the way the director frames the actors, all lends itself towards having an ultimate result, which should say, this is my point of view on the subject. If you look at Raging Bull, which is the best boxing movie ever made, it has a point of view. And maybe the point of view, like there's some brutal things that happen in Raging Bull, like stuff that maybe now you wouldn't be able to get away with in film, but at least it has a point of view. Whereas Southpaw is just, and again, this is just my personal opinion, by the way, Southpaw is not good. I don't remember anything that happened in that film. It's one of the worst boxing films I've ever seen. But again, that's a very subjective opinion. What are your thoughts on David Cronenberg? David Cronenberg is an absolute master filmmaker. I'm not a massive horror film, and his films typically leaning towards body horror and horror in general. But he's a master filmmaker. Nolan has more bangers than Denis. So you guys are talking about Denis and Nolan. Does Nolan have... Okay, here's the thing. With Christopher Nolan and Denis Villeneuve. I think if I'm going to look at films as opposed to movies, I think Denis has better films. If I'm going to compare Christopher Nolan's... My favorite Christopher Nolan film is Inception. I happen to think his best film is probably Oppenheimer or Memento. But I do think that On Sundays by Denis Villeneuve is better than those two films. If anyone's seen both of those two films, let me know. I would love to explore this further. I will say ultimately, it's a very tough one to call. Like, who's better? Well, they're both great, but who's better? So that's a tough one. That's a great one, though. It's a great one. Nolan and Denis are highly overall.
The Messiah. In fact, I think it's...
I did actually... I didn't want to click on that. I wanted to click on... No, I didn't want to click on that either. I wanted to click on this one.
You get your fucking hands off me.
That's what I wanted to click on. Clicked on Nicolas Cage. Vitaphone. Denis and Nolan are highly overrated. Oh, how do I approach this? Oh God, I have to get more context. So tell me more. Tell me more, Vitaphone. Tell me more. Give me more context before I say anything, because you might just mean that they're good directors, but they are overhyped every time they release a film, which I agree with. Or you might just mean they're overrated technical directors, or you might just mean they're overrated directors overall. I would disagree with the second and third point. I would disagree. No, disagree with the second and third, and I agree with the first. But anyway, tell me your context. Marcus, how much do you think directors get inflated credit, hate for their films when writers and editors can often steer the film in a conflicting direction? Brian, this is such a brilliant question, and it kind of brings into... Am I frozen, by the way? But anyway, it kind of brings into frame exactly what's going through my head right now as I'm editing my own... I've directed my film and I'm editing my own film, and sometimes it's not a good idea. Sometimes you should palm it off onto an editor who can actually do something with your film that you wouldn't have seen. Just that the way that I shoot my films, I shoot intentionally, knowing exactly how I want it to look, and therefore I don't do like one or two takes, and then also I frame in certain ways, and I sometimes do one takes, and I don't do loads of coverage. If you guys know what coverage is, then great. If you don't know what coverage is, it's, for example, right now we're on a one shot of myself. I'm currently looking at the camera. This is pretty much a mid close-up, or maybe just a mid. And coverage would be me doing the same thing, but from a different angle, just so you get different angles of me doing the same thing. So then I would shoot this, and then I would put the camera here and shoot from here, and then I put the camera here, shoot from here. And if you're a technical director like Antoine Fuqua, or Antoine Fuqua, let's say Antoine Fuqua, I'm assuming that he does loads of different angles, and then in the editing room, the editor will make the film into what it is. In fact, Scorsese does this sometimes as well. But I don't do that. I know what my film's going to look like, so I will shoot from this angle. That's it. 2 takes, done, next shot, which makes shooting really efficient, makes it really quick, really cheap. And also in the editing room, you haven't got many choices to work with, because this is exactly the same way that Bong Joon-ho shoots as well, the director of Parasite. He's got his storyboards. He will shoot this one way. That's it, done, next one. There's no right, there's no wrong, but that's how I do it. So just to go back to answering your question, it depends what kind of director you have. If you direct like I do, then there's not really much an editor can do, because there's not many variables. But a great editor will always add something beautiful to a film, because they will just, I don't know, they may cut a scene mid-scene and be like, that is boring me, and I cut it because you made a really bad decision to keep shooting that scene. The dialogue's not working, the actors are not working, so I've cut that scene, I got rid of it, and that's it. So editors definitely don't get enough credit, and writers never have got credit, ever, and never will. And that's a real shame, because I'm a writer as well. But, you know, ultimately, at the same time, I don't care so much, because one of the films that I wrote recently has been doing amazingly. It went to BAFTA. Yeah, if you don't know what that is, it's like the equivalent of Oscars. The Oscars. It was shown at the BAFTAs last month. No, February. Not February. Last month. Or the month before. But, you know, I don't need the credit. As a writer, typically you don't really, I don't know, some writers, I don't particularly want the credit when I'm the writer. I want the director to get all the praise. It's kind of a hierarchy. So to answer your question, no, they don't, but they are the unsung heroes, and there's nothing wrong with being an unsung hero. I don't mind being an unsung hero every now and again. So we now have Vitaphone, who says they both make big films that struggle with things as Spielberg or Scorsese have in spades. But I guess they are what we have. They are what we have for those type of films these days. Right. I'm going to start that. I like that. I'm going to come back to that. Writers without them, nothing. Okay. So with writers, I totally agree. Like, okay, so the reason why Andor, I'm not, if you've been watching this since the beginning of the stream, which was 1 hour and 54 minutes ago, you probably know that I've mentioned Andor a few times. If you just joined the stream, I started watching Andor like when it first came out, I thought this is boring as F. So I stopped watching it. And then I started watching it again recently because people have praised it. So I'm now on episode 7 on season 2, about to finish it, and I'm going to do a video about it. But I can tell you right now that Andor, if you're taking away the fact that it's Star Wars, Andor is technically an incredible show. Really incredible writing, good acting, well directed. Technicals are amazing. And if I was to say a good reason why writers are so important, it's because of Andor. And if you don't know who the writers of Andor are, or the creators of Andor are, they are what are they called? It's the same writer who wrote the Bourne films, and his brother wrote. You guys need to help me out with this one. His brother wrote Nightcrawler, starring Jake Gyllenhaal. So, you know, we're talking about top tier, I believe, Oscar-winning writers. That is a difference between Andor's difference between the visible difference between the shit we've seen from Disney Star Wars to the quality, technically speaking, of Andor. So writers are extremely important, and I agree. But I wouldn't say Thank you very much, Tony Gilroy and Dan Gilroy. So I wouldn't say that writers, and it's going to be controversial because I'm a writer, I don't think they are the be all and end all. Because I think a director can still make a good film with a bad script. But I don't think a director can. I think a great director can fuck up a good script. Does that make sense? Like a great director can make a good film with a bad script, and a great director can still fuck up a good script, if that makes sense. So writers are not the be all and end all, but they're extremely important. Extremely important. And all writers, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Joss Whedon has a blooming writer's credit on Toy Story. Yeah, Joss Whedon has been ostracized from Hollywood. If you guys watch Candice Owens, weird, it's a really weird transition here. But if you watch Candice Owens, then she's currently talking to Harvey Weinstein. He's on video call with her. It's very interesting. She's actually done like an expose on the whole Harvey Weinstein thing. Now, I don't know enough about the ins and outs of that subject to have an opinion on it. So I'm just going to go with the public opinion for now, just on the stream. But if you've watched her stuff, then you will know that there was a period where people were getting cancelled for stuff they didn't do. Now, I don't know if that's the same with Joss Whedon, but he, as a writer, taking away his personal stuff, as a writer, he was one of the best in Hollywood. So it's a real shame that he's been ostracized. But if he did what he did, who knows, you know? But anyway, that's a whole other subject matter that probably you guys don't want to talk about. So I'm not going to go into it. Directors elevate or demolish the script. Yeah, totally. And also, conversely, if the hype is to be believed, the first Star Wars film was directed so badly by George Lucas that the editors had to go in and fix the film. So they can also destroy, yeah, like you said, demolish, and then editors can jump in and fix it. You guys have some really great points. You guys are amazing, by the way. There's some really great questions, really great points. I should have logged off like ages ago, but you guys are coming up with some amazing points here. So let's keep talking. Tarantino did rewrites for the Michael Bay film. In fact, in the 90s, he done loads of rewrites. He done rewrites for that John Travolta and Christian Slater movie directed by John Woo. He just had so many credits that so many writing credits that he didn't actually get credited for. Series of Andor, season 2 of Andor is way too long. I've had my opinions on. Let me just give you a little opinion on season 2. Yes, I agree with that point completely, and the reason why it's so long is not because it's so long. It's because I don't know why it does this. And spoiler alert, anyone listening, you might want to just tune out for like 2 minutes. But I think it skips like 2 time periods. So it goes forward twice in time. And it just really it feels like I'm watching 3 different seasons in one go. Don't know why they did that. It's because it's the last season? I don't know. Anyway, Gladiator had about 20 pages of script when they went to film. Yeah, so completely plays into the point that scripts sometimes are overrated. In fact, I've learned on this film that I've just made that scripts are overrated, because when we went to Morocco to film the stuff in Morocco, I didn't have a script. I just made it up as I went along. And, it might be a shit film, but who knows? Never trust anyone in power. True Romance without Tony Scott directing it. Oof. Denny's and Nolan. Okay, I need to go forward a little bit here. No, it wasn't actually Face Off. It was something else. Someone help me out here. It was John Travolta and Christian Slater and John Woo. It's not called Hard Target. It's not called Get Shorty, but it does have 2 words. I love the obvious Tarantino convo in the Submarine movie where they start talking about the Silver Surfer. Is that Submarine, the Welsh film? Sometimes your vision can be total trash. Hello, Sagnick. It's been a long, what's that expression Americans use? It's been a long minute. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. Why the new Mission Impossible feel? Why does the new Mission Impossible feel like I'm watching a Christopher Nolan film? I don't know. I've not seen it yet, but probably because there's loads of flashbacks and, you know, Christopher McQuarrie is a good writer, but he's probably just used a lot of Nolan's tricks. Do you think Disney will try a darker route with Star Wars? Hello there, Tirum. By the way, guys, there's 21 of you in here. If you don't hit the like button, I am going to not play a Van Damme video. So if you don't hit the like button, I won't play a Van Damme video. And I know you love Van Damme, so hit the like button. Broken Arrow, that's the one. Broken Arrow. Do I think, back to this one, do I think that Disney will try a darker route with Star Wars? No, I do not. Even though Andor has been a bit of a success, but no one watches Andor, so it hasn't really been a success. And I don't think they're going to go down a darker route because they are Disney. And if you look at that new Daredevil series, I didn't actually review it in the end because, frankly, I was disappointed with it. And I couldn't be bothered to vocalize that because I'm sure there's other YouTube channels that did that, and I didn't want to be the same as them. So, yeah, I found it to be really disappointed. I found season 1, Daredevil Reborn, or whatever it's called, rehashed, was just so disappointing. Spends 75% of the series not being Daredevil. Spends 10% of the series like being Daredevil, 20% of the series moping around. I don't know, my maths is all over the place there. Probably that's 5% left. 5% of the series dicking around. And it's like the Kingpin show. I don't mind the Kingpin. I think Kingpin's a pretty cool character, but the Punisher's in it like for 2 episodes, which is fine. I'm not a massive Punisher fan. But yeah, rather disappointing. So the point I'm trying to make is that Disney is trash. I went a long way around of saying Disney is trash. It feels like a Nolan film because it's trash and horrid. Wow. Okay, guys. You know what? We've done our poll on Midsummer. By the way, if you've not voted on this poll, it's nearly equal. It's nearly it's 45% Hereditary and 56%, 44% Hereditary and 56% went to Midsummer. I am going to remove that. We didn't vote for it because I didn't pin it. That's pretty stupid. I'm going to do one last poll. One last poll. I'm going to do... Let me just end this poll. I'm going to do Nolan versus... Villeneuve. I'm going to put Nolan versus Villeneuve. I'm going to butcher Villeneuve's name because I can't be bothered. And I'm going to go on that and I'm going to post it. And you guys can let me know, who do you prefer? Denis Villeneuve or Christopher Nolan? Let me see if I can pin this poll. I'm going to unpin my message there. I'm going to try and pin this poll. Nope, can't do that. Doesn't matter. Anyway, right. I'm going to go back to Vitaphone's point here as we frame this little debate. Before I do that, I can see you guys have been hitting that like button. So, you know what? I'm going to give you some of what you want. I'm going to give you some Van Damme. Get ready. There you go, Van Damme. Right. So on the screen now is Vitaphone's opinion about Christopher Nolan and Denis Villeneuve. And he says they both make big films that struggle with things that Spielberg or Scorsese have in spades. But I guess they are what they are. Now, if you don't know who Vitaphone is, he's one of the first people to ever comment on one of my videos, probably nearly 2 years ago now. and he has some strong opinions. Some of them I can't repeat because I may misquote him about actresses from the was it from the 2000s or anyway. But he has some strong opinions, and some I agree with, some I agree with, some I don't. This opinion, I think I need a bit more context, but I'm gonna agree with you on this one. I do think, but I also don't agree with you because I feel like Spielberg is just a freak of nature. Like, he's an absolute freak of nature. Like, there's never been a director like Steven Spielberg, ever. That the man made Schindler's List and Jurassic Park in the same year. Whilst he was waiting for the special effects for Jurassic Park to be rendered on some massive computer in the 90s, he went off to go and make Schindler's List. And arguably, Jurassic Park is one of the greatest action films of all time. And inarguably, Schindler's List is maybe the greatest film of all time. Made them both in the same damn year. The guy is a freak of nature. Like Raiders of the Lost Ark. A freak of nature. Only a freak of nature could make a film like Raiders of the Lost Ark. The last, what's it called? It's not The Last Temptation. What's the third film called, everyone? It's The Last Something, I know that. Who the hell can make those two films? Now, I know George Lucas wrote them, but to direct them the way they're directed, he sometimes, like, there's a shot in Raiders of the Lost Ark where there's a fight that takes place completely off screen using shadows. Using a shadow. Who the hell does that? That's just that's like cockiness. It's cockiness beyond cockiness. That's insane. So, Last Crusade, thank you very much, guys. But so I don't think it's fair for me to compare Nolan with Steven Spielberg, because Oppenheimer is a good film, but it's not Schindler's List. And you can tell it's not Schindler's List because throughout the whole film, Oppenheimer, this is, he uses music in every single scene where the characters are talking, sitting down, making love, like a bomb's about to go off. In fact, no, when the bomb was about to go off, he shut the fuck up. There was no sound at all, which is actually great filmmaking. But that is a sign of a director who's leaning on a device that he uses in all these films, and he didn't feel comfortable enough to not use that device. So, like, Spielberg is an absolute freak of nature. So I wouldn't want to compare Nolan and Spielberg. But then also the way that they are revered, the way that Nolan is revered is similar to the way that Spielberg is revered. And in that sense, I agree with you, Vitaphone. He is overrated. But I do think he's an incredible director. I will say that. Jaws has some of the best staging ever. Chris, so true. Same as Raiders. In fact, all these films, even if you watch Schindler's List, which, in fairness, listen, I praise the work of, he's an Austrian-German filmmaker, Michael Haneke. Michael Haneke actually thinks Schindler's List is terrible because Spielberg uses a lot of devices that shouldn't be used in a film of such nature. It felt quite exploitative. I tend to agree with him, but I still love Schindler's List. And it's actually a gift and a curse in that sense, because some of the staging that he uses in Schindler's List is very filmic and quite showy, and really it's probably not the right film to do that in. For me, it's a real conflict because I love Schindler's List, but I do agree with what Michael Haneke said. But yeah, the staging in Jaws, all these films, every single one of his films, just look at the way the man executes a scene. No directors do this. It's a very kind of not silent movie, very kind of 1940s, 30s, 50s kind of technique, when they couldn't shoot on location, so they're shooting studios and the cameras were huge, so they have to stage things in certain ways and move the camera around. His use of blocking and staging is just first rate, maybe the best ever. There's some YouTubers who speak about the subject so brilliantly, and you should watch their stuff because they talk about blocking and staging from that era, and also Steven Spielberg stuff. Really is outstanding, mind-blowing at times. Spielberg can make movies of all genres and make them really good. I totally agree with this. I totally agree. And he's not a journeyman director as well. He's not a journeyman director like Antoine Fuqua, and he can still make, I know his style, his distinctive style, I know his point of view, and he still makes films across different genres, which is fantastic. Yes. When you make a lot of films, you'll end up making more bad ones. Are we talking about... Oh, here we go. Do you know what, Sagnik? So here's the thing about that film, White Ribbon, and probably I'm going to alienate a lot of people if you're probably not seen White Ribbon. So White Ribbon was the last film that I needed to watch from Michael Haneke's filmography, and I left it for so long to watch it because I didn't want to end. I didn't want my experience with this director to end, because I typically watch directors' films in one go. I kind of get fixated to the director, watch their stuff, move on. So I watched all his stuff, and then I left White Ribbon for like 2-3 years and didn't watch it. And then I finally watched it. And whilst I appreciate it, it's definitely not his best work. I didn't personally think it was extraordinary. I think it was a good film. But I saw the brilliance in it. And if you guys want to watch some of Michael Haneke's work, I would suggest you start off with Funny Games. Don't watch the remake starring Michael Pitt from the year 2001. Someone can fact check me on that. Watch the original version, which is, I believe, a German/Austrian made film. 1997 or 6, I want to say, for that one. Again, fact check me on that, please. But yeah, start off with that film and then work your way up. And it will be life-changing. You will automatically see film in a different light. So totally get involved in his work. Billy Wilder crushes Spielberg. I don't think... I need to rewatch some of Billy Wilder's stuff. Maybe this is actually praise to Billy Wilder, because I don't watch Billy Wilder and think his blocking's great. I watch Billy Wilder and think his writing is top 3 best writing ever. So I don't think that his blocking is, but I don't know. I need to go through and watch his stuff. But I think all the directors of that age had to do that, just purely based on the fact that if you wanted to make your film a bit more dynamics, the only way you could do it, because they didn't have all the fancy tricks that people have now. You didn't have steady cams, didn't have crane shots. Well, you did have crane shots actually, but you didn't have drones and quick editing and stuff like that. So if you wanted to make your film a bit more exciting, you had to do that. So a lot of directors did that, like director of Citizen Kane, whose name escapes me. They all kind of did the same thing back then. But for Spielberg to be doing it in the year 2000 and in the year 1980, wild. Wilder 2, he was even better. The Brat Pack kids love the theory that if you can watch films without dialogue, just picture and music, it's the holy grail. And I can't argue with this mantra. Ooh. In fact, you know what, Vitaphone? My cinematographer said that to me on a phone call a few days ago. He said, because we were looking at the edit of my latest film, and he said, next time, he said, watch your film without music. And sorry, watch your film without any sound before you picture lock it. So I still need to do that. I do think it does help. Wilder was number 1. Kubrick also crushes Spielberg. Ooh. Let me just go into this. Yes, Funny Games is incredible. Incredible. He doesn't. Kubrick doesn't crush Spielberg. I think Steven Spielberg, I'm looking at the camera as I say this. Steven Spielberg is the best all-round director there's ever been, and that there ever will be. No one will ever in the history of film. Maybe not in the history of film, like if we live for another 100 years, maybe someone will beat Spielberg. But right now, since film's been invented, there's never been a better all-round director than Steven Spielberg. Kubrick definitely did not beat him. Now, that doesn't mean that Kubrick isn't a better director in the areas that he directed in, but there's never been a better all-round director. Orson Welles, thank you. That's it. Thank you. How about that Mel Gibson is the better director than actor? Yeah, for sure. Not even a debate. He's an okay actor. But he's a fantastic director. Kubrick is clinical and brilliant like Nolan, but neither have the heart of Spielberg. So when I'm comparing Kubrick, I think Nolan loves Kubrick, but I don't think they're similar. I think Kubrick and David Fincher have share a bit more DNA. Technically speaking, that is. But I do agree, like the heart. I actually think the heart of Steven Spielberg is why people don't think he's so great. I have to give it to Marty, but Steve's up there. It was Vitaphone. I would say Martin Scorsese isn't a better all-round director. I'd say he's a better director at making the stuff that he makes, if that makes sense. Like, Scorsese couldn't direct Raiders of the Lost Ark. He might have directed a film maybe as good as Schindler's List, maybe. But I know that Scorsese wouldn't have directed a film anywhere near as good as Raiders of the Lost Ark or Jurassic Park, or that's where I would say I would give it to Spielberg, because I actually think that Spielberg could have made a film as good as Wolf of Wall Street. Maybe not as good. It wouldn't have the biting edge, but it's a tricky one. Filmmakers from 1920s to 1980s invaded and discovered filmmaking. Modern filmmakers just telling us different stories. Totally agree. Thelma Schoonmaker is a better editor than Scorsese as a director. Ooh. You know what? I'm going to let you and Vitaphone fight that one out. I'm just going to put my 2 cents in here. I don't agree with that. I think they're just a wonderful collaborative duo. I do not think that what you just said, because actually Scorsese has directed stuff. I don't think Thelma Schoonmaker edited Wolf of Wall Street. Let me just fact check myself here. Probably did, Yeah, she did. In fact, maybe she's directed. No, she's edited. I know she hasn't edited all these films. I don't think she edited Silence. Sorry, guys. It's probably very boring for you as I type. And can someone do that for me? Can someone let me know who edited Scorsese's Silence film? Anyway, so good to see you again, Ozan, by the way. Been a while, been a hot minute. That's it. It's been a hot minute. It's also been a minute. Scorsese, she hasn't done them all. Which one didn't she do? Anyway, Scorsese stuff fell off after Schumacher's death. She's not dead. That's why I had to Google it. I was like, when did she die? She's not dead. I think she still edits. Like, she literally edited something recently. Let me have a look. She edited Killers of the Flower Moon, I think. Yeah. So she's definitely not dead. Anyway. What you mean? She's dead, bro. Is she? Yeah, no, he is. Yeah, he is. He's confusing. Yeah, Sally Menke is Tarantino's editor, and I think she was. Sally Menke. Yeah, I believe she was, and she died. I think she was running in the hills. Yeah, she died. She was running in the hills in Hollywood, and I think she just fell or something. I can't remember. But yeah, she was a great editor as well. Frank, I agree with the lack of heart and emotion with Nolan, Villeneuve, the display of anger, sadness. I disagree with this one. Frank, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to defend Villeneuve. I'm going to defend Villeneuve because Villeneuve does have heart. He absolutely has heart. Now, maybe his most recent films, his Hollywood films, don't look like they have heart, like Dune and Sicario. What else has he made in America? Oh, what did he make after Sicario? Help me out here, guys. What did Villeneuve make after Sicario? Did he make... Oh, there you go. He made the Alien film with my favorite Amy Adams, the woman who never smiles. That film has heart. That film is all about heart. Now, he didn't write the film. Someone else wrote it, but he puts so much heart into that film. That film is so beautiful, so beautiful. What a film! And it has full heart. Arrival. That's it. Thank you. Full heart. And if you look at again on Sundays, which I will praise till I'm dead, that film is beautiful and has so much heart as well. Prisoners is full of heart. Prisoners is full of so much heart. If you've not seen the scene, there's two pivotal scenes. Well, it's loads of pivotal scenes, but there's actually three amazing scenes. First one is Hugh Jackman talking to Jake Gyllenhaal in the car, which is just heart-wrenching. There's Jake Gyllenhaal. I'm going to call him Jake G. Jake G smashing his computer. And then there's a last scene where Hugh Jackman is smashing a sink with a hammer. Now, a lot of them are displays of anger, but they are displays of anger that are just tinged with so much sadness. He definitely has heart. Nolan frames his films as if he does have heart. So, there's always a woman, and this woman's always connected to the lead character protagonist who always wears a suit. His films are very clinical, but he does try and frame his films with a bit of romance or heart or whatever. But he does fail quite consistently. Even like Oppenheimer, where he completely underuses his female characters. Again, it's quite a clinical film. Even our lead character, who should really have a little bit on the surface when it comes to heart, doesn't have the heart. Thankfully, Cillian Murphy is such a good actor that he brings that out anyway. But anyway, I would say Kubrick and Nolan, probably yes, definitely Kubrick. Nolan, I'd say yes, pretty much, but not Villeneuve. Not Villeneuve for me. Rest in Miserable Face, the new Golden Boy. That's why he was such a good fit to direct Blade Runner sequel. Replicants are basically human. Not quite, though. Ooh. I know, I'm not going for Villeneuve, I'm afraid. Like, there's too many examples of him in his films where he shows heart and his characters show heart. So I'm not going to say Villeneuve, but I would definitely say Nolan. For sure. Okay, I think the best heart conversation is not crux of why I prefer Denis over. Yes. Spielberg obviously has range because he's made a lot of films. Other hand, Kubrick smashed it out of the park just by making 13 films, period. Yeah, no, see, the thing is, I'm not saying that Kubrick, what I'm saying is Spielberg has the ability as a technical director and also from a genre aspect to make a different range of films. And I couldn't see, again, Kubrick couldn't direct Raiders of the Lost Ark, but maybe he could direct Schindler's List. It'd be a very different kind of film, but maybe he could direct Schindler's List. Whereas I could actually see Spielberg directing The Shining, and I could see him directing Full Metal Jacket. Now, I'm not saying they would be as good, but he could definitely direct them. Whereas I cannot in any world see Stanley Kubrick directing Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's kind of what I'm trying to say when I say he's the best all-round director there's ever been. But Denise no struggle with some missing X factor. See, okay, so Vitaphone, I don't know if you've seen it on Sundays. You probably have seen it on Sundays because you're a bit of a cinephile. I have to ride for Villeneuve. I have to ride for Villeneuve. I'm not saying he's a better director than Nolan. I'm just saying I have to ride for him here. He's obviously now a Hollywood director. I think you lose a lot of the stuff that you could have, the freedoms you have as a director when you're a Hollywood director. Same with Nolan. Nolan likes it. I think Denis Villeneuve probably does like the money. But if you look at some of his earlier stuff, especially like just before On Sundays, like these two films before On Sundays, there's one about a school shooting in Canada that's in black and white that is just outrageously good. I can't remember the name of it. And On Sundays, like this is top tier filmmaking. So I don't know if you've seen those films, but you may change your mind once you've seen those films. Spielberg is soft. He's soft. It's a bit harsh. Fluffy pancakes outside Raiders. Spielberg is not a pessimist. Yep, definitely not. Polytechnique. Thank you very much, Muna. Polytechnique, yes. Amazing film. Could Denis make a film about a deeply damaged protagonist? I don't see it. Well, he did make that film with Jake G, didn't he? Make that film with Jake G, where Jake G has a twin. He made Sicario, where Emily Blunt is a woman and then Benicio del Toro is a man. He can. If you watch again, watch In Sundays. If you've not seen it, you can. Between Nolan and Denis, I prefer Denis because he has a bigger vision. Sinister, yes. Spielberg popcorn movies mainly. Damaged or compromised protagonist. I mean, not too deeply damaged or compromised protagonist seems slightly. Enemy, that's the one. Enemy. Blade Runner is deeply damaged protagonist. No, I don't think so. Especially if you're talking about I don't think either one of them. I actually don't think. I think if you see Blade Runner, and especially number one, the story's not really about him. The story's not really about Harrison Ford's character. It's mainly about Rudder Haggers, the Dutch actor, his character, and Sean Young's character. And the sequel is not really about him, about Ryan Gosling's character either, really. So, yeah. Everything works out in the end. Hello, Jeff Wills. I always get Wills and Willis mixed up, but hello, Jeff Wills. Nice to meet you. Where are you from? Let me know in the comments. Sorry, I'm not being rude. Just seeing if I've missed out on anything important in the world that I need to be fixing. And I'm not. No one loves me. It's all good. We're back to that's it. Rugta Hawa. Never say that guy's name. Never say his name. But yeah, I wouldn't say Blade Runner is about the protagonist that they purport to be it about. Marcus, have you completed watching Tarkovsky's filmography, especially Mirror? I have not. During Christmas I watched what's that film called? His most popular film. I watched that one and I wasn't that impressed, and my journey with him probably won't be continued for a while now. My favorite Spielberg movie, guess. Okay, John, your favorite Spielberg movie is definitely gonna be something along the lines of Catch Me If You Can. That's the one. Vitaphone. So I would say that I agree with you. I don't know if I do agree with you, actually. I'm not a massive fan of Dune 2. I don't like the protagonist in Dune 1, but I enjoyed Dune 1. And I would say prior to that, I can get on board with all these protagonists. I would say that Arrival, I'm on board. I would say Sicario, I'm on board. Prisoners, I'm on board. Prior to that, it was Unsundays. Prior to that was Polytechnique, which doesn't really have a protagonist per se. Stalker, that's the one. Thank you. So I would say no. Hey, amazing. A fellow UK person, a martial arts and action film I enjoy is looking at. Okay. Good to have you in the chat. And I will hopefully have another episode of bad versus good action scenes this weekend. I think the fight series most likely probably won't have another episode of volume. There's been 22 or 23 of those, plus a few little extras here and there. But I think I've just wrapped it all up into action scenes. So it's not, so now you haven't got your bad car chasers versus good car chasers. You haven't got your bad scenes versus good scenes. You just got your bad action versus good action. So let's see how that goes, shall we? Minority Report. Do you see what I mean? He's so vast in his work, isn't he? He's just absolute legend. Ready Player One, terrible. It's not terrible, it's pretty good. Hello, Thrills and Forces. Have you heard of the film The Companion, or just Companion? I watched it at the cinema and I think it's one of the sleeper hits of the year. I enjoyed it more than Warfare. It's impressed me. I was also very impressed by Better Man, which is the Robbie Williams extravaganza. Companion, what is that? That came out recently. I've not seen it. It's got Jack Quaid. My rule with Jack Quaid is don't watch his films. Sorry, I'm just being mean. He's okay. He's okay. Why? Because Spielberg. Because he ripped it from Kubrick. And what is this about, John? What is that about? I need to follow the strand and I can't. Stalker is based on a book, Roadside Picnic, incredible sci-fi story about dangerous radiation written before we knew what radiation was. Really, really interesting. And in fact, the director died because he filmed in a place that he shouldn't have. Spielberg copied Ray's The Alien script and made it E.T. I can't verify that, so allegedly. I would love to see you make some How to Make Movies for Laughing series. Ooh, I like that. Only thing Spielberg can struggle with is heart, sometimes creeping into sentimentality. Spielberg endings is a trope. I totally agree. It's probably the biggest stick that people beat him with is that they say, in fact, again, back to Schindler's List, they say that it ended in a very overly sentimental way. And they say that about all his films. He doesn't have a dark side running through him. And there's nothing wrong with that because you can't manufacture that. You can't manufacture a dark side to you. If that's who you are, that's who you are. Kubrick is the inverse of that. Kubrick is just completely negativity. It's just how he saw the world, unfortunately. If you find Mickey 17 boring, you aren't ready for Stalker. Yeah, well, I saw both in the space of 4 months, probably, and I didn't enjoy either one of them. In fact, Stalker's way better because at least Stalker looks good. But Mickey 17. So here's my problem with Mickey 17. Okay, I've not reviewed it. Let me go off on a bit of a rant before I call it a night because I'm getting a bit tired. Right, Mickey 17. Has anyone seen Mickey 17? Just put yes in the comments before I ruin it for everyone. I felt the end of Schindler's List was earned. I love Schindler's List. I can't even say a bad word about it. Even though I know it has its flaws, I just love it. Yeah, so anyone seen Mickey 17 before? I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to do any spoilers. It's all in the trailer. So if anyone's seen it, maybe you can give some opinions on it. Water take from Vitaphone. What's your thoughts on the movie AI with Spielberg? I will come on to that in a second. Right. So I'm going to assume you've all not seen Mickey 17. But anyway, let me jump onto this. Yeah, I'm going to just quickly speak about this for a second. So the issue that Mickey 17 has, which really holds it back, is that, and this again, this is a technical thing from a writer's standpoint, it shouldn't have any voiceover. The film shouldn't have any voiceover. The voiceover is woeful. We've got this character who is a bit of a klutz, to use an American term, and this klutz is doing a voiceover for us for 2 hours nonstop. And not only are we visually seeing a klutz that we cannot connect with, on top of that, we are also hearing a klutz nonstop. And it's grating AF. He's not saying anything interesting. If you took out the voiceover, the film would be exactly the same. In fact, it'd be better, because a lot of the stuff that he is narrating are really thoughts that should be staying in the character's head, and it should be inferred by the acting. And I think it's a major fault with the film. I would like to see a version of the film minus the voiceover. And one of the reasons why I thought Sinners, which is one of the breakout hits of the year, was so good, is because we have Michael B. Jordan playing against Michael B. Jordan. He's playing twins. And he doesn't do the obvious thing, or the writer and director doesn't do the obvious thing of making the two characters so dissimilar, as a lot of films tend to do. Mickey 17 did that exponentially. Like, the two characters are twins, but they're so different. Which, in my experience, actually, from knowing twins, typically isn't true. But, it doesn't matter. We're not talking about that. But yeah, that Mickey 17 was spoiled by voiceovers, and that's just a technical thing that could have been fixed. And I hope they do in some sort of exactly Visaphone. Sorry, exactly Muna. Show, don't tell. Exactly. Simple Ryan intro, outro though is schmaltzy. It is. I saw it. I thought it was fine. Drawn out. Yeah. Oh, back to take my doing a poor East Coast accent too. The voiceover was the reason I didn't go. What are you talking about? He's doing a good East Coast accent. I thought I probably should, not take the pills, because the pills don't make me happy. I love my girlfriend. She gave me food. It's a bit much, isn't it? It's like a Tom Hardy comedy, silly, crappy accent. But he's a good actor, though. He will win an Oscar one day. I said that on one of my first streams, and he will win an Oscar one day. Right. Sinners was good. Yes, John. Sinners was good. Surprisingly so. Not really surprisingly, actually, because the director, I've been absolutely trashing Antoine Fuqua for the past 2 hours, but with the director of Sinners, I can see his voice, I can see his vision, I can see his style, and therefore every single one of his films, apart from Black Panther 2, wasn't a massive fan of Black Panther 1, but I can see why people like it. Every one of his films have been fantastic. Like, to take on the Rocky franchise and make a film that's probably like second best Rocky film, maybe third best Rocky film, is not only bold, but brave, silly, stupid, but amazing how you pulled that off. So what a director. Right. So I think I'm going to leave it there. Unless someone says something really interesting in the next 30 seconds, I'm going to leave it there. You guys have been absolutely amazing. I'm going to try and jump back on at some point this week. I can see that we have got an amazing 39 likes, which is absolutely shocking. Shocking. Guys, what's going on? Hit the like button. What the hell? Hey, Boxman, what is good? Nice to meet you. You may have logged on at the wrong time because I might be about to jump off. But hit the like button. Alan Smithy, the best director ever. If you guys don't know who Alan Smithy is, Alan Smithy is not actually used nowadays, or maybe it is. But if a director didn't like their work back in, I don't know, 60s, 70s, 80s, just during that time period, if a director didn't like their film, or if a director made a film and then the studio went in and absolutely teared it apart and made it something they didn't want it to be, they would put their name as Alan Smithy on the credits. And that's where that comes from. Right. So yeah, guys, you've been absolutely sensational, as always. 39 likes is just so incredibly bad. So again, if you're watching this pre-recorded, then please hit the like button. I just don't know why you wouldn't hit the like button. It takes literally 3 seconds. And honestly speaking, I mean, you get stuff like this for free. If honestly, I mean, it's worth the admission fee in itself, which, by the way, was $0, unless you're paying for your internet, in which case you probably pay a little bit for this wonderful show, guys. You guys, again, fantastic. I've said that about 20 times now, which means I'm probably quite tired. I'll quickly answer this one. Go to bed. Have you seen the movie Creep 2? I thought you said Creed 2. No, not seen Creep 2. Not seen Creep 1. Not seen Creep 3. It doesn't sound like I would see it, but please, by all means, let me know what it's about. It might be incredible. But yeah, you guys are amazing for the 15th time. Thank you so much. Again, if you've not hit the like button or not subscribed, please do. There'll be a video coming out soon. I will make an Andor video soon as well. I just want to reiterate exactly what this video was about. It was about war movies. Just want to say they do not suck, but they do all have the same message, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some of the best war movies ever are also some of the best movies ever, or films ever, and they all have the same message. So, to conclude, goodbye, good night. I will let you guys if I've got a new stream coming up pretty soon. And until we speak again, be safe and big love. See you guys soon. Take care.